Hello everybody and welcome back to the KCM. It's time for week 6 and we've got a heck of a lineup here today. Looking forward to getting into this one. Hero coming out first versus YSC. Here we go. It's been quite the slump lately for Hero. I'm wondering if we're going to get more of the same, or is he going to be coming back with a vengeance after all of these recent losses?
Yeah, I don't really know with Hero. I mean, he used to be such a consistent player recently, but yeah, just really underperforming in general lately. I don't know what's going on with him. If it's like a lack of motivation, maybe there's some other real life issues we're not privy to. Who knows? But I also, it could go either way. Like, we could see more of that slump, or we could see him bounce back and go on a warpath to like reestablish himself. I can't imagine he's happy with how things have gone though. Like, players used to look at him with such respect and reverence with how consistent he was as a top Zerg, and recently has been more than underperforming, which is sad.
Yeah, it's sad to see, for sure. Kind of slipping away from that top 2 spot. In terms of the Zerg rankings, he's been kind of top 2 for me for such a long time, maybe 2-3 years at least. So it is sad to see him kind of falling by the wayside. I mean, all it takes is him to get back into his mojo, though, and I'm sure he can bring it back. It's just, does he have the motivation to do so, or are there other things going on? YSC, I'm actually happy to see him today. He's over here in the top right-hand corner. He has been performing really well in KCM, although he has had trouble in some of these other matches. Maybe it's the fact that he's got, you know, the other Protoss players in the squad kind of backing him up and giving him some advice, but he has been performing really well in KCM.
Yeah, I've always kind of liked YSC's online play, and I think that rings true for a lot of people. There's so many gamers that are pretty good in these online tournaments and events, but can't really keep their nerves under control, especially when they have no one in their ear to give them advice on the day while they're in the booth playing those games offline at events like ASL. So I think that's the case for a lot of people. There's not many guys that are great at both, and you could probably count on the fingers of your hands how many players are really good at online tournaments and really good at those offline events as well. But I think YSC is one of these guys which is kind of like the majority of the lower tier players. They're pretty good at these online events.
Speaking of ASL, we're going to be casting the round of 16 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Still waiting for the group nominations translation to come out from Tastosis. I was actually looking forward to watching that on stream. I was going to watch that on Twitch, so I'll probably do that here over the weekend if it comes out, and then give some predictions. Very curious about those groups, so no spoilers in the comments, please.
Yeah, I'm really curious about who we get, and I imagine the likes of Sulky will do his best to avoid a Zerg versus Zerg like the plague and what have you. We'll have to see what we end up getting here in this game, though. Hero expanding very quickly, 3 bases, nothing out of the ordinary there, and just a gateway expand here from YSC. A single link gets into the main base. We'll be able to do a little bit of scouting, cause a little bit of frustration for YSC. Like, these Zealots can't just come out onto the map and apply pressure now. Like, one of them at least has to go and clean that up, and slows down any possibilities of timing. But looks like he's being really greedy anyway. Like, he's not made a forge. He's just going to throw down a core in his wall. So he probably wouldn't want to move out with those Zealots either way. So it's not too big a deal.
Yeah, and there was a pylon behind the mineral patch, which kind of screwed up the ling there for Hero. He loses it, and now, I mean, YSC's going to be able to move out with 3 Zealots? I think he turns around with this. I don't think he's going to commit, because he is being so skimpy on the wall. It would be crazy to lose the Zealots right now when you don't have a cannon back at home and only 1 Zealot in the wall. So I expect a turnaround, but it's like he's so close to the base now. Maybe he is going to commit.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm surprised to see the committal. Like, maybe he's expecting a double bluff here, where like Hero doesn't respect that he's going to commit to this and doesn't make enough Zerglings to easily clean this up, and he can punish Hero skimping on Zerglings. It does happen a lot of times where Zerg players assume you're just going to run back, so they don't necessarily make enough Zerglings. But in this case, he did make those Zerglings, and now these Zealots are kind of stranded here at this third base and not really accomplishing a whole lot besides forcing the Zerglings they would have forced anyway. And he can still mine on some of these bottom patches as well. So yeah, I'm a little bit confused about that from what I see.
Well, he is going to get the cannon up, and the greed here is really going to pay off with a very quick Corsair. His overall build is definitely on course here, and Hero will have to kind of walk the fine line of making sure that these Zealots don't deal any damage and getting out as many drones right now as possible. Not a really big fan, personally, Hirshen, of ZVP on Radeon. Like, this is a very difficult map to deal with Protoss, I feel. Had a lot of hard games on this map. Even today, had some hard games on this map, so I've been playing a lot on stream lately, and this map has been giving me some trouble. Even though it does seem like such a balanced map, I just have a really hard time dealing with the Zealot run-bys and all the different pathways that the Protoss can try to push through with their 2-base timing.
Oh, your Sim City has to be really on. Oh, he does kill a drone here. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Getting even just any drones is already pretty sizable damage, and he's kind of forced to do something with these Zealots since there was a sunken colony made here, so it kind of put those Zealots on a bit of a clock, a bit of a timer. Has got these Corsairs coming across the map now to scout out and see what's what. Does look like it's a pretty traditional 5-hatch Hydra setup from Hero, and YSC's going to find that out in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, as to this map, like, there's a lot of ramps as well, like lots of choke points, which makes it easier to trade with the Zerg once you allow the Protoss into good positions. The difficulty of this map is controlling the engagements and where they happen. If you allow the Protoss to overwhelm you with timing attacks, and miscatches the Corsair, the Scourge are really dumb units. They have essentially melee range, and if you tell them to just click on the Corsair, like it will bug out and not actually kill it quickly. You need to like manually move the Scourge over top of the Corsair and then detonate with an attack move. But yeah, this map is pretty tricky if you don't control where the engagements happen. So
yeah, it's definitely been a struggle. That was a very good attempt there by Hero to get the connection, but things haven't been going his way so far. He had to make a lot of links to deal with that initial Zealot and that Zealot timing. And of course, lost a drone there. Had to make a sunken colony. It's all slowing down his transition. However, he has the 6-hatch Hydra now. Can start to pump these out. Might want to make a few mutas here. It's possible. Usually you don't want to just go Hydras, and with these sunken colonies, usually you don't want to get into sunken colonies if you're just going to go Hydras. And yeah, there we go. Does pop out some mutas. Going to chase down some of these Zealots. Of course, with that speed, most of them will escape. But this is as expected. Just going to try to control the air for now and get into that Hydra once he has the full saturation on these 3 bases.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this Dark Temple is going to accomplish much here, but he hasn't necessarily, set up trying to take an early 4th yet, and I'm curious to see how YSC wants to develop from now. Like, does he want to do some kind of 2-base timing, or does he want to take like a 3rd base from 6 gateways worth of production? At the moment, he has to worry about this sort of Ogre Zerg style for the time being, so he'll obviously remain on 2 bases for now. But he hasn't thrown down a lot of gateways just yet, so I'm wondering, was he expecting to expand quickly onto 3 bases, or I don't know what his original game plan was. And now he's going to have to throw whatever was his game plan away for the time being, and throw down a couple of cannons at either base. And I think he's got a High Templar hiding at the very top of his main base as as well to kind of throw Hero off and get a preemptive storm on some Scourge or something. He's gonna try and... Oh, he storms his own Corsairs! What even just happened there? What even just happened? What was that?
I'm not exactly sure. The game plan was pretty clear. He was waiting for the commitment from the Scourge there, and then was gonna throw down the Storm behind the Corsairs to pick off all of the Scourge. So that the Corsairs can fight the Mutalisk back, but obviously something got crossed there. A wire got crossed, and instead of throwing down the Storm behind the Corsairs, he throws it right on top. Gonna dive on top of this Storm, on top of this High Templar, gets it. Scourge not able to fully connect there. Will he have another Storm here? Okay, all of the Scourge connect on one Corsair, I believe. So not exactly optimal there for Hero. I think that YSC can push forward now and take this third base.
Yeah, it's always annoying trying to engage Corsair with Scourge. Like, so often you'll have 12 Scourge and still only manage to kill one Corsair. It's kind of wild how that transpires, but such is the nature of the game. It's kind of hard to manually split all of your Scourge onto individual Corsairs. With Micro, you kind of need to just spread out your Corsair, spread out your Scourge, and hopefully they split their focus as you detonate them. It seems like Hero got a little bit unlucky with that trade. He did slow down the third base a little bit here. It does look like the plan from YSC was always to try and take that third base off of as little gateways as possible, like we were thinking. I'm not sure if that was slowed down enough. He did kill a High Templar or two with those Mutalisks as well. So, I mean, now Hero's going to take a fourth base. I'm curious now, does Hero want to challenge this third or just allow it to occur and Macro up here? He's made a massive round of drones, so I'm thinking more towards the latter. We might actually see a pretty strong macro game from both sides.
Yeah, that's kind of where what it's looking like, especially with this Queen's Nest going down now. Just going to power up really strong into that hive and look to possibly deny the fourth base from YSC. Although he could continue to spread down here towards that bottom right and just take this super long, get into, of course, Plague and all that. Crackling and just try to grind this out in a longer game. Lurkers here in the middle. I don't see an observer with this army, so cannot move forward right now. YSC in a bit of a bind here since he can't push forward. Hero just gets free reign on the map, just move around as he likes and continue to build up this massive economy on this fourth base.
Yeah, I like the idea here from Hero to set up a forward lurker line. I mean, one of the problems with this map is there's a lot of ground to cover cover all 3 points of your rally point, your fourth and your third with lurkers back at home. So setting up outside of the rally point of the Protoss player limits those regions to 2 instead of 3. But it does, if you don't cover both sides, it opens you up yourself to counterattacks like this. And he's going to try and target down this hatchery while a few of the other Zealots body block and slow down the reinforcement line. He's trying to drone Jiro right now to buy some precious time to stop those Zealots getting the DPS necessary onto that hatchery, but it looks like it's going to go down regardless. Hero, I think this is a bit of a mistake. I mean, I like the idea of the forward lurker line, but he didn't even bother covering this other ramp from the third base of YSC and is now paying the price.
Yeah, he sent a Ling over there, but it was too late. YSC was already out on the map with all those Zealots, and he's going to lose that fourth. Hive is on the way, so it's not the end of the world for Hero, but that was a massive blow and an unforced error. He didn't have anything over there, and he definitely should have, so he's definitely going to be kicking himself and wishing he had preempted that move a little bit earlier. YSC now moving through the middle of the map. This 3-base timing could be pretty scary. Looks like he's going to take a fourth behind it and try to push over towards Hero's side of the map. Where do you set up your lurkers here? Are you just going to stay in a defensive position now, Hero? And with Defiler not quite out, will he be able to stop this giant Dragoon force?
Yeah, this is the problem with maps like this, Zane, is once you have started to take a lot of expansions, there's such a wide area that you do need to cover with lurkers, so you kind of have to scout where the Protoss player is moving to and preemptively reposition your lurkers like they were tanks in TVP, and you can't always do that. And I mean, this is going to be really annoying for Hero. Like, he's getting supply blocks now, he's distracted dealing with these Corsairs, and the massive standing army of YSC has been brought to bear at his rally point location, at this choke point. If he's got enough Storm in this army, it's going to be absolute havoc for Hero to contend with right now. He's trying to dive in with units on 2 flanks. I'm not sure if he's got enough to fight this back. YSC mainly just wants to trade and skirmish here, but a massive wraparound of lurkers comes from the 3rd base to try and lock this army down and see if he can clear it up. I don't know if he's got enough fighting power to do that, but with some more lurkers coming from the right-hand side, maybe there's just barely enough DPS here to kill the majority of these forces of YSC. It still looks YSC favored, though.
Yeah, this last couple of storms is brutal, and there's the big Zealot rally coming in from behind this. The Lings pop out and start to go to work on these Dragoons. Now, these are crackling, so they're going to do a lot of damage to the Dragoons. He is targeting those down. As long as he's got a few lurkers behind this just to defend that bottom center, he should be okay, but it looks like actually YSE has punched through, and he is going to get on top of this 4th. There's no lurkers down there whatsoever, and Hero's being broken.
Yeah, YSC temporarily delayed that 4th base just a few beats so that he could squeeze out as many units as possible, macroing on all cylinders from all those gateways he's got back at home to hopefully have enough punching power to knock Hero down in this game. Killing this 4th base yet again is pivotal, but Hero did also expand to this bottom right quadrant of the map, so he has a backup base as well. It's not completely over for Hero technically, but he's not trading as efficiently as he would like to. He might be able to eventually clean up this standing army of YSC. We'll have to see. He's predominantly producing Zealots right now, so we can get a couple of lurkers out here yet again. That would be really high trading efficiency, but he's got to pull the Hydras out of position, wait for them to go into the 3rd base, and then come in with the reinforcement Zealots as an afterthought to block in these units of Hero so we can clean them up even more efficiently. And Hero is just in desperation mode, trying to make as many cracklings as possible. Finally, he realizes that he needs some lurkers, starts to morph some of those, but I think it's too late. I think YSC's done the damage now.
Oh my god, YSC looking like an absolute monster. He's playing like best in this game with the Zealot rallies just flooding across the map non-stop. He's going for the kill here, and he's keeping his money very low, spending extremely quickly and just rallying straight over into the front. Hero completely overwhelmed here. He does get a couple of lurkers out, but it's too little too late, and YSC is going to bowl him over. The slump continues here, Shun.
Yeah, he's got this base in the bottom right, which is kind of a lifeline, but he's not trading well. Like, Starcraft at the end of the day is a game of trading, and if you're not trading at an optimal enough efficiency, unless you've got just so many more bases and so much more production facilities, then your opponent, it's not going to be good enough. And we can see Hero drying up a little bit in this game. He has got the Defiler tech, has got potentially getting some plagues online soon. And with that base in the bottom right, there is a chance that he finds a way of coming back in this game. But I think it's going to be tough. YSC's done enough heavy lifting thus far, has this 4th base now. The only thing going for Hero is that he has this base in the bottom right. He can Nidus Canal connect it, and he might be able to turn this game around slowly but surely.
It's a long shot, but we're going to hold out hope for Hero now. YSC has not found this base. He's sending some forces down there, though, and this is going to be a dangerous situation. As the Nidus is connecting, he has to hold on. The entirety of YSC's force might be coming down. No, it's going straight for the natural. All right, this is actually pretty good for Hero. He doesn't have that many forces over at bottom right, just a few Hydras, some Lings. All of his lurkers are here and ready to defend. Can he stay alive right now against this primarily Zealot force? First Plague goes down. He hits a lot of these Zealots. Just going to commit with the Zealots now. Diving in. Dark Swarms go down. Second Dark Swarm not available here just yet. Dark Swarm on the left-hand side will clutch this defense. No, another Plague in the midst of these forces. And he is going to hold for the time being. Kills off the Observer and keeps himself alive, albeit just barely.
That fight went really good for Hero. Like, this is about as good as he can hope for the time being. There's a way of clawing himself back into this game now. It's just 2 base economy for YSC because he's mined out. So essentially it's, you know, 2 base versus 3 base for a short period of time. Eventually Hero will mine out on that natural in the next couple of minutes. But I mean, Hero's making some good moves. He's picking off High Templars with Zerglings. He's keeping his Lurker lines as spread as possible to reduce efficiency. And he's harassing the High Templars with these Zerglings again and again to try and whittle down that utility that's available to YSC to skirmish and try and punch through these defensive lines. So there's definitely a path back into this game for Hero, but he's gonna have to expand soon. He can't just maintain the game state and hope for the best. He needs to expand and keep growing. YSC knows that. He's gonna try and keep him pinned down and skirmish with him until the cows come home, just throwing down storms constantly, raining down on Hero's parade. And I mean, there is a way of Hero winning this game, but he can't just sit like this.
Well, he's going to sit a little bit longer as he continues to build up here. Double Dark Swarm is going to deny this push and looking for some plagues. That'll be the first step here. Get a few plagues down on this army, soften it up so that the trades can be as efficient as possible. He did manage to get something over to that top left to try and block YSC from expanding too safely, but it seems like cannons are going up now, and so YSC is going to continue to grow. Hero not growing at all, but whittling down this army slowly but surely. Oh man, there's so many Archons being made here. I swear to you, Shun, this is one of the most efficient things there is in the game. 2 High Templar, get a couple, oh wow, feedback here as well. Up to 6 storms from 2 High Templar, plus you morph it into an Archon after. It's insane value. There is a drop coming down the side of the map, though. Here it is right there. Might be able to get in, get some storm damage done. There's so many High Templar available to YSC right now.
Yeah, no, and then there is some good moves here from Hero. Like, he sent a small counter-attacking force of Zerglings to that northwest quadrant. He shut down that expansion attempt from YSC, keeping him locked on these 2 mining bases for the time being. There was also a probe moving out to the bottom right that's been scouted out by a Zergling and dealt with now by some additional ones. So, I mean, there's some good moves from Hero. He's, you know, he's trying to force YSC into a situation of stagnation himself, but again, yeah, Hero needs to expand. He now is finally starting to take a hatchery down in that expansion in the bottom right corner of the map. There's a shuttle ready to make its way downtown towards that location, probably into the main base. I'm not sure what's in it. It could be a storm drop, could be some Dark Templars, or just a full Zedlot hit squad as well. All are viable options here, but some Scourge are in position to deal with that. If Hero kills this shuttle for free, it's going to be a great pickoff. Forces the unload of those High Templars, but they might still get down here and get some storms off.
Yeah, here comes the storm. My god, so many drone kills here in the bottom right-hand corner. And with this hatchery going down and the base in top left being taken, I think this might be the nail in the coffin here, Shun. There are so many Archons. YSC's done a good job of just throwing down storms, backing up, making Archons, and doing it over and over and over again. Here he comes one more time. A couple of High Templar are going down. He should be saving these, not allowing them to just run forward and die to the Lings and Storms, but that number continues to grow, and YSC is stagnating here, still sitting on just 4 bases.
Yeah, I mean, he did kill this hatchery that was going up for Hero. So both gamers with just 2 mining bases. Actually, Hero with the high saturation of drones, he's mined out his natural third now. There's just a few patches remaining for him. So he's essentially on 1 mining base himself. I'm sure YSC will have a similar problem with his third base being mined out again. Zergling spotting the shuttle coming in for another round. Can he pick off this shuttle before he unloads the units? He just slips through between the 2 pairs. Hero distracted at his rally point, and there's another monstrous storm drop completely killing the drone line yet again. And now YSC has this base set up in the top left natural, so he's not stagnating anymore, saying he's going to start continuing to grow yet again after just crippling the economy of Hero.
Oh, that's so painful. I mean, sending all the Scourge out there in preparation for that drop, but just missing it barely. Hero's gonna be kicking himself for missing that shuttle. He almost had a chance in this game, but it's just been snuffed out by that singular drop, and just some energy being spent there to completely annihilate that economy. There's got to be a huge amount of kills on these High Templar, and he's going to come back in again, get even more kills here. That's all the workers from the natural dead and gone, and he can actually push up onto this high ground as well, Shun. There's no stopping this army, and YSC could probably kill this base, but he doesn't have to. GG is called. Hero taps out, and YSC takes game number 1 for the Protoss squad. Just like that, Hero is eliminated, and YSC is going to move forward. It's the way of the world, the way of Broodwar. Players rise and they fall, and YSC is currently rising. He has been for some time. Still not able to get the results in the offline tournament that he can here in KCM. When he gets his mental game under control, when he really locks in, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with, man. I mean, just watching him macro in that last game, as he was pushing through the middle, was very impressive. Like, he was really hitting his macro stride and just slamming that Z button as he continued to push through.
Yeah. He's definitely been coming into his own a lot more than some of these other younger gamers in the scene. Is he gonna? Okay, I was curious what this fast scout was intending, because like usually doing a cross-map scout like this as Protoss, if you want to identify if it's close spawns or not as quickly as possible. And I was curious, is he gonna not make the gas if he sees that there's a Terran player in that top left corner? And he made the gas not long after getting into that base. So I was wondering, is he mapped this out where he's going to do a normal core build if he doesn't see the Terran in that cross spawns? And if he does see the Terran in the cross spawns, he's going to go for a greedier Nexus timing?
Well, we won't know for sure here, because its vertical spawns sharp over in this top right. Does block the probe from getting in, but takes a few hits, or I guess it was just one hit. Was there a miss? Was there a miss by the probe there on the ramp? That's kind of funny.
I think so. It's technically a ranged shot, right?
Yeah, technically it is ranged, but I thought that was kind of even ground there rather than high to low. Oh, no block there from the SCV. A little bit of a mistake here for Sharp, but why is he going to turn that away? Very good control here. Oh, can he get through the middle? Oh, barely manages to slip those two through. Can be a really tough thing to do in an intense situation like that, to get the Marines to not, three stooges their way through that door, bouncing off of each other and causing one of them to die. But he manages to pull it off, and now it's got 4 Marines to deal with this Zealot. Should be totally fine to go ahead and grab this CC now.
Yeah, pretty much every Terran stream I've seen that isn't a pro gamer struggles with getting those Marines through that gap without sometimes them doing little free stooge routine and blocking each other. It's such a tight hole to fit through, so if they're trying to come from both angles, it's so difficult to actually get them to go through right as the Zealot's on top of them. It happens so often, so pretty much every Terran I've seen that's not at pro gamer level, it even happens at the pro gamer level sometimes. It's that difficult.
Yeah, for sure. Very few players are capable of making that work every time and preventing that disaster. Losing some early Marines can absolutely screw up your build and cause you to spend a lot of early resources that you need for other things. Ramping up your production and getting prepared for the follow-up play. Sharp has managed to get in here and see everything, so he knows exactly what he needs for this follow-up. And he's going to be able to delay the bunker by a lot here. He knows that the Dragoons are back at home, and he has some time to kill while the Dragoons come across the map. He's already got a tank out. I don't think he's even going to make a bunker here, Shun. He's really going to get greedy now, and this is going to pay off for him in a big way with the second factory coming online.
Well, with YSC not optimizing his gas timing for like a very fast range play, I think it's allowed Sharp to play like this. Like he was kind of hoping for a cross map position and do a greedy Nexus timing, I think, and as a result, yes, he's got a decent economy, but he has no fast range to punish and force a bunker. He's allowed Sharp to just maximize damage, and now he's going to come in here with these vultures, try and lay down some mines in the wake of YSC. Pretty good target firing though with these dragoons to shut that down, so Sharp will probably have to back out now. So it's not too bad here for YSC, and he has got this AI pylon which helped out a little bit here, and luckily Sharp's not going to lose that tank. If he'd lost that tank, that would be really bad news bears for him. And I mean, this isn't too bad for YSC, but I do feel like he's been metagamed by Sharp a little bit in this early game stage, and yeah, not even having to ever make the bunker is kind of crazy.
You know, YSC was in a very good spot there with his dragoons. That's why it went so well. If he was out a little bit further, Sharp would have been able to get behind those dragoons with the vulture, drop some mines. That's why he was on the right-hand side there, kind of hanging out on that high ground, waiting for his opportunity, and would have been able to really box in those dragoons and make it a very sloppy hold for YSC, very hard hold for YSC. But because he was in the perfect spot and he'd gone for the quicker two gateway play, he's got quite a few dragoons to deal with, and he manages to hang on no problem. Just a couple of vultures being lost and some marines. Sharp's not going to bat an eye here as he goes into the next stages of his game plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm a bit curious about how these players actually stack up against one another right now, because it did look like a pretty good early game for Sharp, but I mean, you know, YSC did deal with that push about as effectively as he could have hoped for, given the fact that Sharp was kind of afforded a small advantage in the way of not having to make a bunker and this kind of thing. But and the economy timings of, oh, he's going to try and go for the vulture run by, but not quite being successful. YSC's got everything locked down appropriately. He's going to go for a very fast third base, but this is towards the Terran, so he needs to kind of stay in a winning position the majority of this game. It will be very easy for Sharp to do some kind of timing attack where he's not only pushing on the vertical axis to get towards the rally point of the Protoss, but easily shutting down this third base from mining as well.
Yeah, this is a bit risky for YSC, but it could end up paying off in that he gets to mine some of those resources out of a base that will likely go to Sharp if this game goes super late. That's a very close base to his natural, and it'll be easier to hold for Sharp than something like the top left. Very far to spread yourself. You got to spread yourself very thin to get that base online. So you know, maybe this works out for YSC in the long term, but I agree it's going to be hard to hold a push if it comes his way here off of two bases.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Reaver pretty soon, Shun, and I think that Sharp is pretty well set up back at home for this. I wonder if YSC will be able to get any damage going.
Yeah, well, this Reaver, you know, obviously is just to slow down the two-base timing potential of Sharp, but he doesn't have to do a two-base timing here. Like, he's going straight to 5 factories, but the geometry of these spawn positions is such that Sharp can easily expand away from the Protoss at this 12 o'clock spot. So this is actually quite safe spawns for Sharp. As long as he doesn't lose too many tanks in the early game, there's nothing that stops him from leapfrogging over to take that base. So I'm curious to see that from Sharp now. Is he just going to shuffle his tanks over and take that third base right now? He should.
Looks like he's gearing up to do so. Moving forward is a little bit surprising. I didn't think he was going to get aggressive here, but you know, if he's able to push forward and keep YSC's attention on this front, maybe he can just grab that CC on location in the top center without a trouble. It's just what happens if YSC decides to counterattack, go up to that third, and then you know, wait for Sharp to commit and go for the backstab or go for the pincer maneuver on this attack. slow crawl here from Sharp towards this base. He has yet to take the CC over there on high ground, so just continuing to pump out as many units as he can and push the issue here with this attack. Here comes the Dragoons now. This is a lot of Dragoons. I don't see a single Zealot with this force, though, Shun, and there are mines and a big, deep line of tanks. Can he target down the Reaver? He gets the Reaver. Reaver gunned down immediately. One more Reaver here for the backline. Going to take a couple more shots. Another hit there. Will end up losing that Reaver in a moment. No, it manages to survive. A run by here in the natural as well. So Sharp hitting on multiple fronts, but clearing out all the Dragoons is very big for our Terran player.
And he's taking the third base behind this now. He was waiting for the opportune moment to start throwing that down. Finally has decided to do so. I think he's figured out that with this base being taken at the 3 o'clock from YSC, that's too big of a win condition to throw away in terms of forcing the Protoss to trade into you, and that's exactly what he did. He moved into a forward position, kind of forced the hand of YSC to have to engage to avoid disaster occurring to that 3 o'clock base, and he's just going to macro behind it and retreat back to his rally point and macro up on 3 bases now. And I think that's a great game plan from Sharp. He's forced such a big trade out from YSC, but he's going to maybe get some tanks here. This could be a big win for YSC, taking out a tank or two here, more or less for free. It's a big deal. Does lose the Observer on the exit. I don't know, man. Like, I feel this like it's a really good position for Sharp right now.
Well, that last attack in the position that Sharp had, he could have taken an insanely good trade. I'm surprised he didn't try to target down the shuttle with his Goliaths while it was being juggled, while the Reavers were being juggled, but I guess he was just kind of using them as fodder for the tanks. Great connections on some of these mines, actually getting rid of 2 Dragoons for free. Big mistake there from YSC, and he loses his probe as well. Dive here into the main base. Can this get a lot of damage? He's avoided the mines so far. Looks like they're going to connect just on. Oh my gosh, I think he tried to drop a High Templar there on the low ground, but wasn't able to get it out. Only able to drop the Zealots, so he loses out on the opportunity to get a Storm Drop rolling here. Will continue to do a little damage in this main base. Needs to pick up these Reavers, though. No response on the Reavers. Why is he going to lose both of them?
Man, those are expensive units to throw away right now. Sharp was in an okay position a moment ago. Now he's in a great position. YSC coming over to this third base. There is only a single siege tank here with some vulture support. It might be enough to hold on. Some more tanks now being rallied over to this location to hold it down. This shouldn't be too much damage sustained from Sharp. And he's very quickly going to go on the counter. This is a great move from Sharp to find this trigger to go right now. He's going to force another engagement from YSC head on. Does manage to lose a couple of tanks in the process, but he will catch a lot of these Dragoons out in the open and wrap around with the vultures to prevent their retreat. He wants to shut down the standing army of YSC while he can, so he could do a massive push that YSC might not be able to stop now.
Yeah, this is a great move. You saw Sharp moving towards the high ground there to counter the push from the Dragoons, and the moment that YSC started to turn around, he immediately goes for the counter. Excellent play from Sharp. Really on the ball here today and taking out YSC, putting Terran on the board here in KCM. Well, my mistake. I accidentally crossed off YSC after that first game. A little bit of a fortune teller, if I do say so myself. He is now eliminated, and so all I have to do is cross off Hero's name, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. Sharp is going up against Effort now. Really excited to see how this guy plays, but I'm even more excited to see Soma going into this KCM. Like, how is he going to be performing, and are we even going to get to see him here? Effort, so powerful. And I mean, Action last week robbed us of that opportunity as well, so we'll see.
Well, I mean, Effort, unironically, one of my favorite Zergs of all time. I can kind of stomach that hero slumping as bad as he is for the sole reason that we have the likes of Effort and Soma back in the scene. So I'm definitely a happy camper in that regard. So I'm not going to be too disheartened about the slumping of Hero, who has been such a great Zerg for so long. We now have two fantastic Zergs back locked into their overmind, and probably will be giving us a lot of great games, saying. And you're absolutely right, we might not even get to see Soma. Effort could potentially go on a warpath right now and wipe out the majority of these guys. Who knows? He's certainly more than capable. This is a guy that fires at 400 to 500 APM like it's nothing. Probably one of the reasons why he sustained such wrist injuries and has got that wrist screwed on tightly now. Hopefully he can put out a lot of great games and will be another amazing contender in the scene for the times to come.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Effort. Also Jaedong. Jaedong, another great player, who's just popping off right now. Crazy what he's been able to accomplish in KCM recently, especially after he was slumping for such a long time after coming back to Broodwar. Something happened in his personal life where he just decided it's time for me to make that comeback. It's time for the Tyrant to return, and I'm super excited for the future, even with Hero maybe out of the picture. Like you said, tons of great Zerg players here, Effort included, and he's going to be sending some links across the map, trying to look for a little damage going. 3 hatch before gas. Interesting, but the SCV gets in and sees the hatchery. That's a little bit crazy, and he blocks the lings from coming in here initially. This is a little bit of a tough spot for Effort. Build is completely revealed, and he's not able to get in and get any trading going. He does get an SCV, but trades for 2 lings. Now the Marines can make a little bit of a move out here on the map and maybe force some more lings out of Effort.
He knows there's no speed on the way anytime soon, so he can apply pressure with those Marines for quite some time. I mean, Effort is a macro player, so I don't hate the 3 hatchery, but to explain to our viewers what exactly it means to go 3 hatchery before gas, you're essentially giving the driver's seat to the Terran player. The reason we see the 2 hatch tech play so often from Zergs by getting that Spire as early as possible is so they dictate the pace of the game. When you're going 3 hatchery before gas like this, you're essentially allowing the Terran player to do any build they want to. When you're going 2 hatch muta, you're forcing them to hit their turret timings correctly and, you know, prepare for that really sharp timing. When you're doing this build, you're delaying all of that by a whole minute. So it basically allows the Terran player to do what he wants then on.
It's also going to slow down a lot of your tech, and the reason why this build sort of fell out of favor is because Terran's kind of adapted by going into a very quick 5 racks with +1 and just pumping out masses of Marines to meet the added production of the Zerg player. You've got just this extra hatchery. What does it do for you? It adds more larvae, so it allows you to pump out drones faster and get into a higher supply of army. But oh my gosh, there's Marines coming over here. He's actually going to push in with 4 Marines. There's only 3 lings here. I thought that Sharp might do this. He's doing it a lot later than I expected, but he is going to get behind these minerals with the bunker. Can he actually get the SCV kill? Can he get the SCV kill while the Marines are trying to get behind? He does get the SCV kill. Huge moment here as he gets that.
Yeah, it's going to be great for him. Now he doesn't need to produce nearly as many Zerglings to clean this up. It's still annoying, though. He's not mining from this natural for quite some time. He's going to pop out another pair of lings and trade off these Marines right now. It's not too big a deal, but it is cutting into his economy a lot to not mine on that base for as long as he did. So, I mean, this is still a great win for Sharp going forward, and there's those additional barracks coming out now. And you're absolutely right. A 5 racks 5+1 is seriously strong against this build, and that's exactly what Sharp's going to do. Bear in mind, though, the 5 racks plus 1, a bit of a semi-all-in way of playing. You have to do damage with this build order to be able to transition. So Sharp will be looking not only to attack effort, but be successful in doing so to continue this game.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to speak out of school here, but I don't think it's as like you don't need to get as much damage here with the 5 racks when they're going for that 3 hatch before gas. The tech is going to be so delayed here for the Zerg. He's really going to have a hard time transitioning. It's going to take quite a while for him to get that transition going, and Sharp, I mean, his factory will definitely be late, right? Maybe 7:30, maybe 8 minutes, but it'll be on time to counter the hive timing of effort for sure. And we're just seeing the first few mutas pop out. It's almost 7 minutes and 6:45. Usually on a 2 hatchery play, you'd be at the base at 6 minutes here with the mutas. So you can just see how far back this has been pushed. Sharp's able to push back his turrets, get his 5 racks really running here, and it's going to be very tough for effort since he was slowed down on his gas, and so many things have gone wrong in this early game. He is really going to struggle to deal with these big clumps of Marines. Oh, and an Overlord dies as well.
Yeah, that's pretty painful, isn't it? But you do have to kill a lot of Mutalisks with these Bioforces out on the map. If you don't trade well with this build, the transition is very difficult to occur. But yes, both players have delayed their tech, but you really do have to trade well with this Bioforce. You don't necessarily have to kill the economy of the Zerg, you just have to trade well, and if he's unsuccessful in doing so, he's going to be in trouble. But he's doing a great job of killing some Overlords. He actually double supply blocked effort now with that second Overlord kill. So already he's kind of putting effort on the back burner, the back foot right now. So I mean, the damage has already started to add up a little bit here. If he keeps trading at a reasonable efficiency, he already will have a good point of transition.
Yeah, I believe there is a factory on the way now for Sharp. He's continuing to rally across, and he's going to be threatening the natural. You cannot hold this with just 2 sunken colonies. Where are the mutas? They're clearing up reinforcements right now, and this is going to go down super quick. Lings are going to come off the line. He immediately targets down that sunken colony and goes to work on the Lings. This might be over, Shun. Effort is actually going to get taken out here, or will he? Diving on top now with the mutas. They've made it back just in the nick of time to save the drones. My goodness, was that a close hold, but Effort manages to do it.
I mean, he essentially used those Sunkens as time-saving devices. I mean, that's what a lot of these defensive buildings are. Even turrets against Mutalisks, they're buying you valuable time for your Marines to rotate round to those locations to defend the line. So, I mean, in that case, the Sunkens did their job. They, bought some precious seconds for the Zerglings to pop out of the eggs and the Mutalisks to fly back home, and he did clean up that Bioball pretty cost-efficiently. Has got this base now coming online in that top left pocket. I mean, this is still a very playable game for effort. He's not out of this yet. And if he trades off the army of Sharp one more time, he's actually in a good position.
So, okay, Scan up here on the high ground. He sees the lurkers there. Sharp knows that he cannot get in and actually destroy that 3rd base just yet, but Effort doesn't have a gas still at that base here. 9 minute 30 as he's going into hive, no 3rd. Diving now onto the rally of Sharp. This is actually doing pretty darn well. He trades off a few medics, and so there's hardly any medics left in this force. Sharp doesn't really have anywhere to attack right now, and his transition is a little bit slow. We're just going to start making vessels in the next minute or so. Vessels are going to start to pop out, and then it's going to be a while before irradiates are ready, so the mutas are still going to be functional. It's an interesting position. We haven't cast many games like this for quite some time, Shun. There's not been many Zerg players who opt for this style of play, but it really is kind of working out like in the old days, the early 2009, 2008, the Kespa era, when players were playing like this. It is kind of going that direction.
Well, I'll just be real with you. There's not many Zergs on the planet that can handle playing this style and not just straight up dying to what Sharp is doing right now. It's actually kind of exceptional that Effort isn't dead at the moment. Like most Zergs would have died to Sharp trying to execute the build the way that Effort is doing it. It's so hard to do when you're giving complete reins to the Terran to go about the game as they like. And he did clean up that first Bioforce at the expense of those two Sunkers. He's getting his Nidus Canal set up now in that top left, but there is a dropship Gambit coming out from Sharp to try and circumnavigate the lurkers on the ramp. But look at this from Effort. He's reading the play and he's trying to intercept these dropships in advance. There's a Zergling that just spotted them as well. Scan comes in. He's going to try and jump on top of those dropships. Another pair of Scourge ready. Can he get both of them? He does catch both of those dropships. Only 5 Marines getting into mid base. Some lurkers coming through that Nidus Canal. Sharp tries to micro around, does kill one of the lurkers, but he will be cleaned up. He's completely shut down this dropship Gambit from Sharp. Only Effort could do this, man.
My goodness, that was some immaculate timing there from Effort. Just popping out those Scourge in the nick of time from that base in the top left, having the mutas in position at the perfect moment, shutting down that drop. If that drop gets off, Effort may just lose the game completely. Things are going to get so difficult from that point. As it stands, he's got a reasonable chance of taking this to the late game now. He could get into Ultras and eventually get that 4th base online. It's going to be a struggle to come down the ramp and make that work while Sharp is kind of pressuring him, but at least he doesn't have to deal with a lot of irradiates here because the irradiate was so slow from Sharp getting that double dropship online. First thing that he built off of the starports here. So I mean, he just does not have a lot of utility right now in the air.
Yeah, now the game plan from Sharp is to double expand. So he's taking this natural third, he's taking this 4th base at the 3 o'clock. He's going to try and get into BCs as well. He's going to try and go toe-to-toe with Effort in a macro game. It is possible for him to make this into a win from here on. But, I mean, if Effort macros like I've seen him macro in previous times, it's still going to be a bit of a bad news bear situation for Sharp. If he can get a sizable fleet of vessels to work with, definitely those Sharp will have the tools necessary to take down Effort in this game. And Effort just now scouted out that 3rd base and that 4th base from Sharp, so he knows exactly what he's up against as well now. He will be wanting to take this his own 4th gas, so he's going to push down this natural location, the top left quadrant, establish a 4th gas as quickly as possible, and Sharp will look to see if he can find a way of shutting this down.
Yeah, coming down the ramp here is a little bit tough. You're opening yourself up to some attacks, and of course getting off a few nice irradiates there. Plague, first plague of the game, getting some good damage going on this Bioforce. Just gonna stick with pure SK Terran. This is really looking like a 2009 game right now. I'm getting excited here to see how this one pans out, because this could have been played like 10 years ago pretty easily. Very interesting to see things going down like this. Yeah, this is really cool to see on a updated map, on a modern map, this type of game play out. Very cool. And you know, Sharp is gonna, this is reminding me of, you know, Flash versus Jadong way back in the day, you know, just powering up like this and then going head to head with mass marine science vessel versus tank, or excuse me, versus Ultralisk and Defilers. And looks like there's not enough energy on this Defiler. He's not going to be able to get a Dark Swarm or a Plague, and so he's actually going to push right through and take down this base. It's okay for Effort. He didn't need that base. This is a secondary expand, but it's very nice for Sharp to kind of shut this down before it can take hold.
Yeah, he made the traditional Zerg mistake of not putting the Zergling on hold position that he wanted to consume, so unfortunately the Defiler just couldn't get any kind of Dark Swarm down. down, and Sharp D-Matrix to fire back to make that not even a factor to completely shut down an attack. So he's going to limit effort to these 4 bases, but to be honest with you, 4 gases more than enough for effort to accomplish what he's setting out to do. It looks like he's doing a bit of a modern take on this build by going into Hydralisks predominantly, rather than trying to go transition straight into Ultralisks here. There's another dropship Gambit that's going to attempt to go. Look at Effort's setup. He's just ready for it. Like the thing about playing a defensive style like this from Effort is you can't make mistakes. You have to be locked down tight at every location and never let the Terran find the chink in the armor to exploit. And Effort so far has done a great job of that. If he can keep this up, he's going to be in a great spot. But here come the dropships now. He's found a bit of an opening where there's no Scourge ready to pounce on these. He's getting a big line of Bio now in the main base of Effort. Effort in a little bit of trouble now. He's sending some units through that Nidus Canal that are going to pop out down the ramp in a second here, but he's going to lose the Spire. He might lose the Defiler Mound. This is going to be a little bit problematic.
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, at this point in the game, there should be Ultralisk out by now, and that clears drops like this very, very well. Oh no, the Defiler. Oh my goodness, he doesn't get the Plague off. Busy dealing with all this craziness in the main. Looks like he's lost the Spire. He's lost the Zergling, excuse me, the spawning pool. This is really rough right now for Effort. Too much is going on right now, and Sharp is abusing him with all this multitasking.
Yeah, he's started to force Effort to fall apart a little bit. At the end of the day, you should be forcing interactions out of your opponent whenever you can, and you can see, despite Effort firing on all cylinders for a while, as soon as he started to fail at 1 or 2 locations, that became a bit of a cascade of failure elsewhere in the game as well. He's trying to reestablish himself as now tanks are knocking on his door, so put a bit of a timer on some of these locations. And yeah, without the Ultralisk support, he's relying predominantly on these Hydro Lurker Defiler to do all of the heavy lifting, and he needs to get like a monstrous plague in all of those vessels and pick them off to have a chance at coming back in this game. Now, if he allows Sharp to just lay siege to him like this and constantly cycle out irradiates, it might be a losing battle for him. If he does pick off some of these tanks as they're coming though, it will make it harder and harder for these tanks to break through Effort's line. So one thing we can say for Effort is that he has continued to reduce the tank count over and over again.
Yeah, he for sure has done that. He needs a plague on the big clump of vessels though. Where is it? He's gonna try and go for a consume. No, another Dark Swarm here. Doing his best, but another Irradiate comes down. He's just got too many vessels, I think. Sharp is punishing him over and over again, killing off all the gas units with these Irradiates. He has yet to make a single battlecruiser, but there's the first one popping out now, heading across the map, and there's no Dark Swarm here in the natural. Effort going to be shoved back. 2 lurkers, 3 lurkers pop out. He's going to hold the line for now, but he's barely alive, and Sharp is continuing to grow.
Yeah, another tank is joining the fray. This puts a clock on the positioning of Effort here. He's in a lot of trouble, especially without Defiler support in this natural expansion. He does have enough lurkers to hold the line, though, for the time being. It's kind of miraculous that Effort is still alive in this game, to be honest with you. But as long as Sharp is smart and keeps spreading out his vessels so they can't just be instantly played. Like right now, that's a juicy plague target. If he can just consume a couple of these Zerglings and plague those vessels, he has a comeback mechanic. But I mean, it gets a couple of them there, but if he doesn't get the whole clump of vessels and makes a Mutalisk or get some Hydras to snipe them, I don't see a comeback mechanic for Effort right now. Like Sharp is going to expand, take the 12 o'clock and start to throw battle cruisers into the bases of Effort to distract him as well, and without plaguing that massive clump of vessels, it's going to be so hard for him to do anything.
Yeah, he's continuing to pump out a lot of Hydras. These battle cruisers are not really going to do too much with just pure Hydra and some Dark Swarms, of course. Gonna go ahead and throw down a Dark Storm here, I imagine, try to shove through this tank. He's managed to keep the tank lines pretty light so far. There's the big plague. That's exactly what he needed, Shun. Finally getting the plague on the big clump of vessels. Can he converge on those and actually finish them off? Because he really needs to remove all of these vessels and prevent the just continuous irradiates that have been going on throughout this game.
Yeah. I mean, now that he's got the plague off, he is still a threat to Sharp. Sharp setting up additional factories to increase the count of tanks available to him once you reach a critical mass, a threshold of, like, say, anywhere between 12 and 24 tanks. It's almost impossible for the Zerg to break through those lines anymore, and they can kill units under the Dark Swarm easily. Is a bit of a gambit here from Sharp in the bottom left. Natural, though, just one single lurker under that Dark Swarm. He's going to target fire the drones, though, so he's not actually going to be able to kill that, and Effort does hold at both locations still. Can he get another monstrous plague off? Oh, there it is! Gets all of those Bioforces and the BCs with that juicy chili sauce. Effort fighting back strong in this game. He is definitely still an active threat to Sharp. I mean, he's still not out of the woods yet, but he's making the plays that he needs to keep his chances alive.
Yeah, I mean, he could potentially break out here if all the vessels start to fall. It's going to get really hairy here for Sharp. He's not got that many tanks. He is pushing in with a few more. Yeah, here comes the Hydras. A lot of these vessels are going to start to fall. Running forward here. Can he get a few more? He's going to dive on top of the tanks now, getting some of these lurkers underneath the Dark Swarm, but manages to target that down before it can burrow. Sharp is keeping the lid on Effort, and he's continuing to pump tanks here off of multiple factories. A counterattack going out on the map. This is definitely what Effort needs to start turning the tides.
Yeah, and he's expanding towards that 6 o'clock location, so he's no longer going to be totally contained at the moment. Good unload and reload there from Sharp with Stim Marines to shut this attack down. Effort going to rotate around to some of these reinforcing tanks to see if he can pick off those. I mean, this is just such a great game from both sides, to be honest. This is a really spectacular Terran versus Zerg to cast and watch. And I mean, Effort is really fighting back strong in this game, though the tanks are starting to pile up in number slowly but surely here. And Effort obviously will start to become mined out. Luckily, he's got that 6 o'clock location now. That's a much needed base for Effort to keep his hopes alive in this game. And, you know, he's kind of built beyond that critical danger zone of supply as well. Like, he's no longer sitting at sub 100. He's at 130 right now. He's got enough units to start pushing out onto the map and bringing the fight to the Terran, like we see here. Lovely spread of tanks, though, from Sharp, making it so awkward for Effort to get into positions to snipe those. Tactically, this is a great game from both sides.
Yeah, here we go. Some battle cruisers trying to come over here. Looks like he's going to be able to defend with the lurker there on the ramp, just keeping him back for now, keeping this base alive. But Sharp has taken his own fifth. He's got that 12 o'clock rolling here. A lurker standing strong on that high ground. There's not a lot of Marines in that army, so maybe he can push down, clear out those tanks. He's breaking through at the bottom side, clearing out more tanks down here, gets the last vessel as well. So Effort is making progress. Another round of tanks make their way forward, but Shun, I only see 4 tanks at that front line. This is definitely breakable.
Yeah, I mean, he has got tanks back at home. They're trying to get into position now to reinforce that line, but it's not going to be in time. Saying Effort is going to break through this front line that's been set up for so long from Effort. He's trying to, for Sharp, he's trying to lay siege now to the 6 o'clock and splitting his focus, but Effort is holding on down there as well. Sharp is in a little bit of trouble. He's losing that critical mass of tanks in this game, and I mean, Effort could run away with this. Effort could just gradually grind it down and turn this game around. This is wild what we're seeing right now. This is one of the best comebacks of all time in terms of just slowly grinding down the Terran tank numbers. He got the beautiful plague off on those vessels earlier. That was a critical move. That was the main turning point in this game. No longer just being chain irradiated into oblivion. There's a dropship coming across the map now as well to see if he can get some damage to the Zerg's economy desperately. Right now, Effort is in a phenomenal position if he continues.
He's managed to push back the battle cruisers down at bottom center. Here comes the drop into the main, but Plague Hydra is insanely good against drop play like this. If he notices it immediately, he should be able to react in time, get that Plague off, and just annihilate this army. Where? Oh, he can't. He doesn't have Plague. He doesn't have Plague ready. Can he get the drop ship? The drop is flying out. Oh, there's a Scourge there as well, but he doesn't get to use it. No Scourge connection there, and he's actually going to shut down the base that's being made right over that wall. And so this is actually going to work out for Sharp, riding forward here, trying to jump on top of everything. Lurkers get gunned down by the tanks as they run forward. Lings are going to get on top of everything. The tank number is dropping, but the Lurkers are gone. And so this push will not continue. Gonna hold the ground here for now. Sharp still at about 180 supply, standing strong. No further bases just yet, though. He's starting to run dry.
Yeah, lovely plague on those 3 tanks at the 6 o'clock position. Great shutdown on this hatchery. Sharp was able to achieve after fading the drop into the main base. And this is such a wild back and forth game, a real tug of war between these 2 contenders. Now though, Sharp trying to ram it down at this natural location, the top left pushing. He kills the first Nidus. There is a second Nidus in the main base up in that top left, so he still has opportunities here to keep reinforcing this defensive line and hold on to this critical 4th gas of his, though. Sharp pushing forward to kill the drones of Effort as much as he can to limit the economy. He knows that if he can just do any kind of damage to the economy of the Zerg, he won't be able to fire on all cylinders and keep just macroing monstrous amounts of Zerglings and Hydras to keep fighting him back. A drop comes into the 6 o'clock location, but it gets shut down by Effort easily. He needs this attack to work in the northwest quadrant now more than ever. He is breaking through with some fire bats underneath the Dark Swarms. Lots of tanks going to be shelling that hatchery and eliminating it. Bio now moving into the main base location. That's our top left. Some units popping out of that Nidus canal, but is it going to be enough to hold?
Oh, so many drones are going to go down here. The fire bats are absolutely cleaning house. Bunch of Hydras moving through the middle of the map. He's looking for a Dark Swarm up there to the north, but the Irradiate is going to get to work there. And okay, these Hydras are actually probably going to push through. This is just a few Marines with no medic support. Those vessels are under threat as well. It can target those down. Definitely should get both those kills, and he does, getting some SCVs, but the reinforcements make their way over here. This is such a crazy game, Shun. I think we're going down to just 1 base, 2 bases mining on either side here soon, as that center right starts to mine low. And this top left is definitely running out. Bottom center is going to be the only base for Effort shortly. And Sharp's going to end up on just 12 o'clock. He's actually expanding towards the Zerg up there in the top left.
Yeah, he's done a great job, though. Sharp is in a winning position, but there is still that comeback mechanic now from FA. He's cleaning up the tanks from that southern hemisphere. He's going to potentially go for an eraser trick here in the top left, but instead he decides to throw those down onto a couple of lurkers despite that. And I mean, he has a lot of tanks available to him in this top left. This is a win condition right now for Sharp. He just needs to get all of his units leveraged up here into this top left pocket, and he can close the game. Effort is desperate to set up some counterattacks to distract Sharp and stop him from reinforcing this top left position, but there's probably already more than enough forces to come in here and wipe out the last remnants of hope for Effort. He's gonna tap out. GG is called. That was a really spectacular back and forth TVZ from either side, Sam.
Wow, spectacular, yes. A great adjective for it. This game gets the clapper from KCM, and it's a little bit of a shame that Effort didn't abandon that base in the top left, put all the drones he had over there through the Nidus and saturate a new base. I think he had another hatch coming up in the bottom left. Just didn't want to give up that base, even with all the minerals running dry. I guess the production was too much to lose anyway. But really, that game, oh my goodness, Effort is eliminated. It's surprising to see, but Sharp may be on a roll here today, just running through this lineup. We'll see if he can continue this run. Well, that's definitely going in the best of 2025 folder, Shun. That last game was insane. Effort hanging in there for such a long time. I actually started to believe he may be able to come back in that one and take that to a win. Sharp was just pressuring him so hard. I feel like it came down to that moment when he almost killed the drop in the main, and then it managed to kill the additional base that was coming up. He managed to get away and kill that base, because if Effort had gotten another base online at that moment, there's a good chance he could hold top left. Yeah, again, killing off the Nidus there in the natural as well. I guess that was another big moment. There was just so many crazy battles in that game overall. It's hard to really sum it up. But how crazy would it be for Sharp if Sharp manages to run through this squad? We've had him all kill before, but this squad is insane. Snow and Best still left here, and we still have Soma in the background. If Sharp manages to clutch up for the Terran squad today, I mean, you got to put some respect on the man's name.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he more than proved himself in that game against Effort. Like, most Terran players would have struggled against Effort in that situation. Effort really did play like an absolute monster in that game, despite being on the back foot for the majority of it. A lot of Zergs would have just easily fell apart and died way before Effort did in that game. At least 10 minutes earlier. It was really insane how strong Effort was fighting back. And that's kind of one of the best results for me personally, saying, because that means we're guaranteed to see a Soma game. We're guaranteed to see that guy step up onto the batting plate and show us what he's made of as well. And we still got to see Effort play a great game still, regardless. So this is turning out to be a great week of KCM, and it probably won't be a Zerg week. You know, like you say, it could be an easy Terran victory here. It won't be that double all kill prize for Sharp no matter what, though, because obviously YC was the guy to take down Hero initially. But I mean, you know, Sharp could go through 5 of these guys, and that'd definitely be a prestigious thing.
Yeah, I can still get the all kill there on the Protoss squad if he manages to get the next couple of wins here. This one and then 2 more afterwards. It's a tough lift, man. Both Best and Snow in the Protoss squad plus Soma would be something else, but I've seen crazier things in the KCM, guys. I guess now is a great time to just remind you guys that we have a Patreon page now for our duo casts. Since we're doing so many of them together, we decided to open a secondary Patreon page. We'll be splitting that one evenly between the 2 of us. There'll be a link in the description down below. Saiyan Shun Duo Cast is the name on Patreon. And if you're not into Patreon, there are some links there on the Patreon page of how you can donate in other ways. So just a shout out to that page, and a shout out to everybody who's been donating to that page as well. Love you guys. Thank you so much for your patronage. And we really, really do appreciate it all.
Honestly, it's been really humbling for me, at least, just seeing the amount of love and support from you guys in such a short period of time. Honestly, cannot thank you enough. I mean, it's great that you guys just support what we do in terms of like moral support. So the fact that you can also throw some bones our way really does mean the world to the both of us, I'm sure. And yeah, like just seeing that grow is really incredible.
And we're gonna do everything we can to be worthy of that support, putting out lots of casts in the upcoming months and years in the future. Continuing with the KCM, we've also got the SCSL, link in the description as well. We're casting together, among other things, and of course the ASL. So we'll definitely be putting out lots of entertainment for you guys over the next coming months and years. Sharp now getting set up here again, able to skip over this bunker completely. Shun, just controlling this high ground. He's moving forward right now with just a few Marines and Dragoons, and this is the situation I was telling you about earlier. He's going to be able to get behind and drop the mines. This is a very scary moment here for Best, but he's going to dive on top of the tank. Don't lose the tank here. Oh, he loses the tank. So painful. Can he still force Best back into the mines? I don't think so.
I think Best knows about this. I think the reason why Best is engaging like this is because he saw there was no Vulture supporting that army, and he assumed that he was laying down mines behind his Dragoons. And you can see how careful he's being with these Dragoons now as an afterthought. I'm really impressed with Best. Like, I know he's really good in this matchup anyway. We've seen that a lot from him in the past, but he's becoming more and more finessed as time progresses. Like, he used to just be a macro beast that could just outmaneuver you HQ and smash through Terran lines like they were nothing. But he does seem to have increased his IQ level exponentially in general. Like, he doesn't make any kind of the same amount of fumbles off the ball as he used to. The blunders are at an all-time minimum in general. And like, look at the way he's escorting this probe right now. Like, this is some high-level stuff.
Yeah, he's keeping that alive, and he's keeping his door closed. Sharp not able to find his normal way in. Usually we see him getting more damage than basically any other Terran player with these early vultures, but Best blocking out everything and doing it with flying colors, even getting that initial tank kill. The position is fantastic now as he takes this third base with ease and with some confidence here going forward.
Yeah, and we see basically a 2-gate observer setup here from Best, which is basically as safe as you can be while still being greedy. Like, if you want to be totally safe, you go for 3-gate observer, but 2-gate observer is kind of the ideal way of playing. It's middle of the road. It allows you to squeeze out a fast third base, extra probes, and you're still technically safe against what the Terran player can throw your way. You just need to control your army really well and scout as adept as possible. And he's done both of those things. And there's going to be a bit of a 5-tank move out here, I believe, from Sharp. Oh, sorry. He actually not decided to move out. Maybe he felt like the attack didn't go well enough earlier, that he doesn't have a timing. He may move out with 7 tanks, it's possible, but he might just not move out at all after that first initial pressure not really going his way. Typically speaking, this would be a good time to put on a bit of more pressure to the Protoss player, not necessarily to go all the way, but just to kind of, you know, lean on the Protoss a little bit. With a 5-tank push, you can delay that to a 7-tank push as well. It looks like he wants to completely shut down any attempts at aggression and is instead going to throw down a lot more factories before considering that.
Yeah, probably not going to move out until he's got 4 Goliaths and a really solid group of vultures to support these tanks as well. And I could definitely support that. Best showing some great finesse with that early push, and it's got to be scary to try and move out against this guy. Just so easy to throw the game into a terrible position and ultimately end up losing by just one push not going the right way. He's only lost a single tank so far for that early mistake or that early attack that went awry, but going for a 5-tank push, and if it doesn't get any damage, like, you're just so screwed against a player of the caliber of Best.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it makes more sense for Sharp to kind of just consolidate his position, get the 5 factories rolling, and then start to think about applying some pressure. But I think the expansion is the safer bet here. I thought he was going to do maybe 4 factory into expansion into 5 factory, but he's gone for a bit of a slow 5 factory into a CC in the natural to float over. This is probably the safest way that Sharp could play from this position, and it's definitely warranted with how much that first initial pressure play got shut down by Best. And Best has the prerequisite 2 Reavers in a shuttle just in case there was some kind of, you know, 6-fact timing attack or something here from Sharp to try and run it down and try and squeeze his way back into the game with aggressive play. Instead, it is going to be that more methodical, just sit back and expand style. And Best, identifying that, is going to be throwing down this 4th base at the mineral only.
Yeah, he's going to get that online here without too much trouble. That's kind of a, in my mind, it's kind of a bait base, really. It's like kind of towards the Terran player, but it's over to the side there. And if he decides to push along the pizza slices on the right-hand side, I feel like it almost always goes bad for Terran when they try to make that work.
Yeah,
you really got to be like more methodical, slow it down, and let the Protoss mine off of that mineral only, and try to shut down these bases in the bottom left while taking the 4th base there at top center.
Yeah, ideally, Terran want to take the center of the board and kind of force engagements into that tight little narrow corridors between the cliff faces. If you're forcing the Terran to attack you via the pizza slices, actually can be a bit of a point of weakness for the Terran, and you can abuse that high to low ground transition quite efficiently as Protoss. Seems like Sharp's already set up a little bit of a forward position with some mines and vultures here at that mineral-only location. Maybe to get some free mine hits now. Does get one good connection with a mine. Might get a second one now. That's a pretty good connection as well. So he's already softened up these Dragoons ever so slightly. That will make Sharp's push later on just that little bit more effective, and will make him feel even safer now taking this third base. And for a while, we probably won't see a lot from either side. You might see Best be a little bit crazy. Best does do things that other Protoss players just won't do. So there is still that chance that Best is like, I can attack now. But you probably won't see that. Best will probably just look for some drops into the main base here.
It might be a little difficult to pull the SCVs out of this main when he comes in. He might even have a storm here ready to start ripping this mineral line apart. Here comes that drop, diving directly in. He's gonna try to pull. There's two Reavers here. I don't see any storms with this, but it's still gonna be quite a pain for Sharp to deal with. Those two Reavers are gonna be able to get juggled by this shuttle, and at the same time coming up to the front here. Can he buzz through while that distraction is happening in the main?
Yeah, this is the main 1-2 punch idea from Best. Draw the attention into that main base and then go for the frontal assault. He does things like this so often, and now Sharp in a little bit of trouble. There's a lot of tanks at the third base location, but not so much at this rally point. And I think Best has correctly identified that this is the best place to strike right now. He's just running it down with this. Best is like the only guy in Protoss versus Terran that can make the fights look like this. It's insane what he's able to do right now. He's pulling Sharp apart when really he shouldn't be able to. It's absolutely wild saying how he's able to correctly thread the needle on setting up these engagements.
Yeah, and he's gone back to pick up even more High Templars, bring them to the front as soon as possible, following up with these Vulture rallies, getting here right into the face of Sharp. He's even going to pull this mine into the tanks, gets a great connection there with the mine there. Here comes the follow-up drop. Can he get a huge storm drop on these mineral lines? That top center is looking juicy. Here comes the storm. Okay, one SCV only. Not bad. He actually holds this off pretty well, and Sharp still maintaining a reasonable supply even after all this attacking and harassment, and maintaining that third base as well. So he's still in this game.
Yeah, no, Sharp did deal with this pretty well. A lot of Terran players would just be dead in this position. He has held the line, hasn't lost too many SCVs, did take some damage onto those SCVs. It's not usually the first storm drop that does the damage to the eco of the Terran. Assuming good pulls from those SCVs, it's the second drop that does the damage, because the SCVs will be on like 20, 30 HP, and then they will die to the follow-up storm. So as long as Best can keep some shuttles applying pressure to this third base, that drop will start to pay dividends. I think he's going in for it now.
Yeah, he's coming back in for some more big storms on this SCV line. Huge kills on a lot of these SCVs as they try to abandon the base. Oh man, that was a ton of SCV damage. It's exactly as you were saying. The follow-up drop doing way more than the initial, and Sharp is just going to have to slowly recover here. You know, this Vulture and the one that was on the left-hand side actually keeping Sharp alive in this game, because if Best was getting, 2 more bases online right now and setting up cannons already, I think that Sharp would just be dead. But because he's managed to delay the further bases, it's still Best sitting here on 4 base, and Sharp is okay to sit here on 3 and just replenish SCVs, eventually get up to that 4th at the mineral only, and he can continue this game on and just continue to maintain here while looking for more harassment whenever he can.
Oh, it's a big win condition saying if you allow the Protoss player to get that other main base set up here, it's really tough for you as Terran. You can't just split the map in half like you can on a 4-player map. On a 3-player map, when they get both main bases and 2 rally points set up, you're in a little bit of trouble, as Terran seems like Best is relegated to taking the 6 o'clock as a 5th and has been slowed down in taking bases here in the bottom left. He's trying to to take the mineral only now with a probe, but realizes there's some mines there, so he's going to have to clear those out before taking that. He's going to apply some pressure now. Another drop attempt, but he does kill one of those shuttles, the Hellfire missiles off those cannon boosted. Goliath shuts down another drop coming in to that third base location while starting to take his own mineral only expansion now as well, Sam.
Yeah, shutting down a few of these drops and continuing to stop additional bases from going down in the bottom left is the key to victory here for Sharp. He gets that one shutdown, and so he's bought himself a little bit of time and breathing room to really get this extra base set up. Tanks are pushing forward here, but I don't see a lot of them prepared for this attack coming in. He's probably going to have to cancel the base. Definitely gunning down some of these shuttles is very good, but the stacked tanks here on the high ground eating immense damage from that storm. And of course, the Zealots are going to be running up on top of this here shortly as well. Where are the Vultures to help this out? An amazing mine connection there. Not enough spreading on the tanks here, and I think Sharp's just about out of this. GG. And Best takes down Sharp. Oh my goodness. You gotta keep spreading those tanks, man. Sharp was doing everything right aside from that, but the siege up there on the high ground was definitely the nail in the coffin. Impressive showing out of Best, and now we're gonna get to see Soma versus Best here on this brand new map, Litmus. Should be an interesting one, Shun. We've got 3K and 3K. Double gas in the main base, and about what was it, 4,000 in the natural, 5,000 at the third. That's furthest away from your, or that's on the low ground. The high ground has 3,500 gas, if I remember correctly, and all the bases in the middle of the map, there's 3 of them, all have 5,000 gas. So it's kind of an interesting setup here, and I'm really curious to see how either player will utilize those additional gases. To me, it seems like the mid-game timing, you know, the 2-base timing where Protoss moves out, they seem to have just infinite storms when it comes to an attack like that. It really is difficult to stop a Protoss when they try to get that first attack going.
Yeah, and it is going to be Gateway expand here from Best to apply pressure. Let's see how long he can slow down this hatchery from Soma. Soma made a few units before throwing down that hatchery, knowing the block would continue for quite some time, and he did get pylon blocked as well, so that Best could scout into the main base while forcing Soma to take the hatchery at the third instead. And this is optimal for Gateway expand when you can force them to expand away from their natural location. Makes it a little bit harder to deal with the Zealot pressure that will be following this up. Has got those prerequisite 4 Zerglings initially to not only shut down this scouting probe, but also prevent anything like a early Zealot timing from coming out onto the map. And we'll now see a little bit of a skill check from Soma. He's got 6 lings total that will be showing up in the natural in a few moments here, and Best will have to do a good job of blocking the ramp with a probe and Zealot, and also avoiding another Zealot getting surrounded.
2 hatch gas is very interesting. He's going to go for this round on the Zealot. Bit of a mistake here from Best. He's going to try and correct that by moving out, but a great surround, an absolutely fantastic surround from Soma. He's going to get the probe here most likely as well. Now the second Zealot is in a lot of trouble. Could get the surround on that as well. He does get the surround. Very good control here from Soma, but also excellent movement from Best to get out of that situation without losing the second Zealot. Going to continue to dive in here and continue to make lings as he stays on 2 hatches, Shun. 2 hatch with a gas. I think we're going to see something crazy out of Soma to follow this up.
Soma is a very aggressive player. It doesn't surprise me at all. Brilliant surround on those Zealots yet again. There's one on red HP. The other one's now on red HP. You'll be able to potentially get both of those Zealots, but not too many more lings to do some follow-up damage. So maybe Best can start to stabilize after the fact. There are actually 3 lings putting a lot of damage onto that gateway. Oh my goodness, it's so low on HP. He's forced to come off the line with these probes to fight against this, and that's exactly what Soma wants. He's going to surround this other Zealot if he's not careful and put a clock on this gateway. Best is in trouble, saying he's going to potentially lose this gateway now.
Ooh, the gateway could go down. Definitely he can go up into the main base. And so the main base is under threat. There's a lot of probes sitting here. That's just because of the craziness of this early game. Best not able to keep up with everything as he's microing his Zealot so tactically. Oh, this flank is insane. He gets the flank on the Zealot. Oh my gosh, it's going to kill that Zealot for sure. And then the gateway goes down as well. No way. This is so much pressure from Soma. We're really getting to see him fire on all cylinders. There's the layer. No drones at the third base, and there's no third hatchery, so pretty all in right now for Soma. Of course, he's going to follow this up with a really crazy, most likely a Mutalisk timing attack after the fact. He needs to get a little bit more damage here, kill a few more probes, but a lot of probes have been pulled off the line. He's lost a ton of mining time, and he's going to be able to come in here, potentially shut down the cannon. Can he get the cannon?
This is crazy. I think he's just barely going to kill this cannon, saying it's insane. Oh, he just barely doesn't. Oh, it's so close. He can still get it. Wow, this guy is absolutely insane. And exactly right, saying he is going to be getting that Mutalisk follow-up to try and clinch this out. He's hoping that there's a lot of lost mining time and too many minerals spent in re-establishing this wall, that there won't be enough minerals to be invested in the way of cannons in the main base and what have you to stabilize. There isn't even a pylon in position to build cannons in the natural in such a way to protect the probes while they're mining, for example. So this is really high-level stuff from Soma, trying to get a bit of a tactical win here. He's going to try and get us around on that cannon yet again, but not successful in doing so. Now relegated to going for a run by. The Zergling pressure will now dry up in these in the natural expansion as the second cannon finishes. So this is just to do as much damage as possible to the economy of Best. I think he's got the Spire over at the third base. Did he make, sorry, the third base location? Did he make the Spire? He must have made the Spire at the third base, no? Oh, he didn't. Okay, wow. He was more all in than I thought he would be. So actually, Best is in a really good spot. Like, Soma hasn't got that Spire on the way just yet. He's continuously produced Lings, so he never built that Spire, and now doesn't have a timing to completely cripple Best. Maybe Best can win this.
Yeah, this is a surprise for sure. I mean, 500 gas in the bank. Something has definitely gone wrong here for Soma. He was so desperate to try and get that extra damage, and he was doing a great job of targeting down probes and getting those surrounds on the Zealot, but that comes at a cost. He wasn't able to correctly optimize this economy and get this Spire out, and now Best is going to come in and spot that. He has plenty of time to build cannons here in the main and eventually get into some Corsairs. We might even see, you know, double Stargate here to follow this up from Best. Make a bunch of cannons and double Stargate, and he should be in a great position. I really thought that probe damage was starting to stack up, but Best was doing a great job of just keeping the production going and pulling the right number of probes to not take critical damage.
Well, it would have been good if he had been able to squeeze out this Spire a lot earlier when he should have done. Like, he would be building Mutalisks right now, and Best would be trying to get cannons online in time to deal with that, and there would be a timing for Soma to shut that down before the cannons even finish warping in. But now that's no longer going to be a reality. He's also shutting down mining temporarily in this third base location. That's some precious minerals that Soma needs right now. He will clean up this Zealot eventually, but I mean, he's already done the damage he needs to do. He's stopped the drones mining for a little bit.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, Soma, he's still got a potential in this game. Mutas are a great comeback mechanic for Zerg. Even in these desperate situations, he's definitely gonna be able to make quite a few Mutas and Scourge to come over here and at least deny the Corsairs, not allow them to do any damage. But 2 cannons in the main, I don't think he can overwhelm that. He's got that 500 gas ready, so he doesn't really need the second gas here to make this Mutalisk attack work. But what does he need to do to actually put himself into a decent position?
If he catches the first Corsair or 2 with the Scourge, that's a winning mechanic. He was attempting to do that actually, but he just barely missed the Corsair moving out. He really needs to snipe like 1 or 2 Corsairs, and then he can bowl him over with Mutalisks. If he starts to kill the Corsairs, then he can turn this around. But if he doesn't kill any of the Corsairs with these Scourge, he's in trouble. But he has got an intercept on one of these, so he might be able to at least kill this one Corsair. That gives him a glimmer of hope.
Oh, trying really hard to get this kill. Best doing some good fancy footwork to keep that alive. for the time being, and sending some zealots out on the map at the same time, heading over towards that top left. 3 zealots on the way. I think there's enough lings to deal with that, but they're not in position right now. They're over here at the natural. Okay, there's a few over at the 4th. If he brings them all together, I think he can deal with this okay. I don't believe there's +1 done here. No mutas just yet, but he is going to be able to get this around, take out these zealots, and handle this attack. Still has some hope in this game right now, but it's a very tough situation to deal with. He's just getting those extra hatches online and getting that second gas running.
I'm not 100% sure if he killed that Corsair or not. Based on the Corsair count, it looks like he did, but I don't know for sure, because that could also just mean that Best skipped making a Corsair for a short time to squeeze out tech. Who knows? There's only like 3 Corsairs with a 4th one about to finish. Yeah, I don't think Soma has a timing anymore. I think Soma has to transition. Like, I guess he could still go for an attack, but I don't know if it's wise. I feel like just transitioning now might be the smarter play from Soma. I think it'll be too hard for him to win in the skies. He's going to go for it anyway. He's got the Scourge on the way. Maybe he can make this work against Best. Best has got the +1 neutron flares. The 5th Corsair is about to pop out though, and they can start to help one-shot these Scourge as they fly. And he's got a 3rd safety cannon here as well. Soma relegated to trying to pick off probes in the natural expansion and dive on top of the cannon there while the Scourge screen the Corsairs. If he can keep the Corsair count low and keep intercepting. Oh, he does kill one with Scourge. That's a great move. Soma actually could do a lot of damage now. If he can keep the Corsair count low enough, maybe he can still make this work.
Yeah, he's got to keep him busy at the very least. Kill off some probes is fantastic as well. Just keeping him busy at this 3rd base and droning up behind it. Will he be able to deal with the DT that's making its way up to the natural, though? He really needs to stop that from getting through. And in fact, with the sunken colony here, he will be able to do so. Very nice hold from Soma. He's actually making the comeback happen, Shun.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to totally dive in, but there was a bit of an opening here at the natural with only 1 cannon, and he's managed to exploit it to perfection, now giving himself a real opportunity to drone up and switch up his play. He's actually still making Scourge and mutas. That's crazy. Oh, he could have gotten a couple of kills, I think, on those mutas, but on those High Templar, but at the cost of pretty much every muta, most likely. Getting the moving shot going now. These Corsairs are going to deal a lot of damage. More Scourge coming, though. Ooh, more mutas here as well. These are just going to fly straight in. Oh, I think this is a mistake. I think he's just forgotten about these. Okay, we'll bring them together now. Not going to be punished for that error.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a wild game situation. Soma definitely clawing his way back. Now has a very strong point of transition. And it's definitely a big mistake from Best not to make a second cannon in that natural expansion. Has been exploited to a fantastic degree by Soma in this game. And now he's getting on top of the Corsairs yet again. That just popped out of that Stargate. Another beautiful connections as well onto the Corsair line. Only 4 of them remaining. Pretty good preemptive storms from Best, but Soma ducking and diving with those mulas, avoiding the bulk of that 110 damage over 2.5 seconds. So hasn't really successfully softened up the mutalisks just yet. So Soma definitely looking good and does catch another Corsair.
Yeah, I mean, keeping that Corsair count low is just making it so hard for Best right now. He gets another one. 3 Corsairs here. Dude, Soma's going to start pumping out a ton of Hydras now. He's actually reached that critical mass of drones. Now he can really start to slam them out on 6 hatch Hydra, excuse me, on 3 bases. Has the upgrades rolling here as well. Getting some Templar kills too. Dude, I don't think Best can push out with this few Corsairs and getting some probes in addition. I am so impressed right now.
This is crazy.
Massively impressed by Soma and his play in this game. He took a very difficult position and made it work just with that mutalist control.
I mean, my eyes are quite widened by this game, saying it's really insane what he's been able to do while being in such a weird, wonky situation. The link pressure was good, but the Spire timing was so slow, and Best had all the time in the world to prepare for it, and he still managed to find damage. There's a lot of Dragoons now starting to be in production. Usually, Dragoons aren't a great counter to Mutalisks straight up, but in this case, he's not continuing to produce Mutalisks, so they will also afford some point defense temporarily to stop the these Mutalisks reigning supreme in that main base. Soma, though, already switching things up. He's got a lot of macro hatcheries, a lot of Hydras in production, taking a 4th base now on that left-hand side of the map. Double Evo chamber as well to catch up in his upgrade timings. Both players elected for air upgrades. We got +1 armor, flyer carapace for Soma with that +1 on those Corsairs. And now we're going to be seeing an interesting game. He's basically gone for a Hydra Muta setup now. He wants to bait out as many storms as possible and kill as many High Templars as possible, so his Hydras can do a lot of heavy lifting later.
There's just one problem here for Soma. He hasn't switched over to the secondary gas in the main base. I can guarantee you that first gas is now depleted, so he's kind of mining suboptimally there in the main. That could become a problem as the transition happens here. If he actually wants to go into a hive in that, it's just going to be very hard to get enough gas going to make that happen. But so far, he's just showing pure Mutalisk aggression with the Hydralisk play. He doesn't need a huge amount of gas to make that work. And so we're actually going to see a lot of these Corsairs get caught. And not all of them go down, but this High Templar move out, there are so many storms here, Shun. So much gas has been made. I'm surprised he doesn't make a couple Archons here to kind of deal some point defense for this. Look at how many High Templar. That's 11 High Templar. That is so many High Templar.
I mean, it's insane. Like, he's overmade High Templars to compensate, assuming that the majority of them will either be on low energy or that he's going to lose, like, 4 of them for free or something to the snipes. And he wants to have enough, gas in the tank to do the heavy lifting on the ground. And he might be successful in doing that. It has cut into his army supply a little bit, though. This is not quite 2 full control groups worth of Dragoons, almost reaching that threshold. He hasn't got that many Zealots in support of this army, so he's reliant purely on this utility of the storms to do the bulk of the weightlifting here in these further engagements. He's driven a wedge between the natural rally and this 3rd base here on the left-hand side. He's going to start laying siege to Soma. Soma diving with the meters, trying to target down some of those High Templars preciously, but hasn't been too successful in doing so. Best has held the line. 9 Templars have survived the initial attempt from Soma. Now he just needs to trade well and lay siege to Soma, using these Dragoons as essentially siege tanks now. Could even maybe do a storm or 2 on the drone line. This is crippling damage to Soma. He's in a lot of trouble. He needs to engage Best, but it's not going to be favorable trades right now with this much storm on the ground.
Yeah, this is exactly what I talked about at the beginning of the game. Just the amount of gas units that can be popped out here for Best is kind of insane. You can see the storms just layering them on here to everything that tries to engage, and Selma's just not able to take a decent fight no matter what he does here. Pulling out a few more Hydralisks and trying to hold the line, but Best just pure Dragoon High Templar is making this work. It's like just such a strong composition and so hard to deal with. Can't really be afforded on most maps, but here he's able to afford everything he wants. Storm is a very good unit, Shun.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Soma did pick up a few High Templars there for free when Best wasn't paying attention, but it's still not going to be enough. Best will take out these hatcheries and then could rotate around to this 4th base as well to hammer in some nails into the coffin of Soma. It has to be pointed out, though, that Best is essentially on a 2-base timing attack right now. Has no 3rd on the way. He's going to send out a probe probably now to try and take that as an insurance policy, just in case this attack gets shut down. A lot of sunken colonies have been popped out from Soma to try and shut this attack down in its path, but this is a bit of a weird situation because there is a high ground spot here, so it's hard to reinforce and flank this army as it engages your 4th base from that side because of the tight ramp. So Soma will have a little bit of a hard time engaging that army, so instead wants to rely predominantly on sunkens while going for a counter attack, or at least threatening that. But now Best has identified the army was out of position and will dive on top of those sunkens when the army is not near to jump in and surround from both sides while he's fighting those sunkens. So Best now in a very tactically advantageous position will be able to outrange the sunkens on the south side of that hatchery and just pick it apart with his Dragoons.
Yeah, doesn't need to take out those other sunken colonies, but Best is on a clock. His base is running low. Can only make so many High Templars with the remaining minerals that he's got. Somehow Soma has managed to slip out another base over here in the top right, but he needs to prevent this army from making its way over there. If it manages to run up on that high ground, it's just over. You cannot get up that high ground with the High Templar standing up there with this many High Templar pushing. You have to be preempting that and picking off those Templar units before they can get into position. Surprised we haven't seen another round of Mutas pop out here because he desperately needs some to keep himself alive here. Hydra's on the high ground, but not enough sunken colonies, and the storms are going to start to hit hard, wrecking these Hydras as he comes up from the flank. He's going to try to dive on top, get in range too close to the storms, too close to the High Templar for their storms to actually be cast, but he's not able to do so. Not very many units on the ground here for Best, but it's enough to finish off everything as the storms deal with the Hydras and Zealots, or Zerglings on the ground, excuse me. Yeah, that's just about that, man. What a crazy game here once again, but it seems like Best has the upper hand, and he's not going to let it go.
Yeah, with the fact that he's still got this auxiliary force that killed the 3rd and 4th base, still in the center of the board as well, ready to either reinforce this army on the right or launch counterattacks to any additional bases that sprout out from Soma as well. This is pretty difficult now for Soma. He's going to get on top of these High Templars in transit, though. Some okay storm dodging, but it's not cost efficient enough. Like, when you're behind this much as Zerg, like 50-60% efficiency just isn't going to cut it. You have to start killing units for free, and if you're not doing that, you're probably playing a losing game, and it certainly does seem to be the case for Soma as he falls more and more behind in supply and mining bases. He is mining that second gas in the main at long last, but it's not going to be good enough to keep up with Best. He's down to just 48 supply, hasn't got another base on the way. There is also that insurance policy from Best as well. You can see Soma's hoping that Best will just run it down and just trade army with him and lose it all into sunken. So he's made a lot of defensive buildings in the natural expansion and hoping that the Mutalisks can do the heavy lifting on the upper side of the map by sniping all of the High Templars and killing this base at the 3rd. If he could somehow shut this base down from Best, then Best wouldn't have a mining base anymore soon. But unless this is successful, there's no comeback potential for Soma.
Yeah, I mean, you can kill High Templar all day long. Best is just going to keep on remaking. He is completely mined out on gas in the main and natural now. So the High Templar is going to start to slow a bit to a trickle, but yeah, the money, the income here for Soma, as you guys can see, it's just not there anymore. And preemptive storms are going to come out. You just blanket them down absolutely everywhere. Nothing he can do here with the last Mutalisk going down. Best is going to take it. Soma just processing the loss here. 37 supply. He taps out. GG. Close. Still a very close game here. We're having a lot of bangers today. 37 supply to 100 at the end of that one, and he gets that clapper from KCM. Zerg is out. Zerg is dead. Effort in Soma not able to carry it through to the end. Surprise here, as Zerg has been doing so well this season, but they're not going to be able to go out first place. In fact, getting taken out first, and it's just Terran versus Protoss for the rest of this week. All right, it's been a while since we've had just pure Protoss versus Terran in the KCM here. Not since maybe the last semifinal show.
Sorry, say that again?
It's been a while since we've had just pure Terran versus Protoss.
Yes, sorry,
yes. The last semifinals.
So I was spaced out reading something there for a second. I didn't expect a question, my bad. But one thing I do want to point out, actually, to the viewers, is that not only that, but also the fact that there is now a chance for a tied KCM season. Do you remember I was talking at the end of the last KCM? I was talking about how the only way that there will not be a Terran versus Protoss semifinals will be if Zerg somehow loses the remaining weeks. and now we might have that. They've lost this is going to be the first loss of those weeks. So if they continue to perform badly at the last couple of weeks of this KCM season, we could be seeing a bit of a tied up situation here for the semifinals.
Was it last season or the season before where we had the first ever tie in KCM? I think it might have been last season, and it ended up being the case that they just took the winning record. So whichever team had more wins than the other was able to go into the finals. I think that's how it ended up working out. But yeah,
like that.
possible. It's possible we could see it. I was hoping that we were going to get like a special match to see who goes to the finals, but unfortunately that didn't end up occurring. Probably they weren't expecting that to ever happen, and it really didn't. It took a long time for that to actually hit, but when it did, they definitely just went with a more or what would you call it, just like a generic approach, instead of kind of seizing the moment to put together something special, I guess. Would have been cool. Would have been a very interesting, a unique season in that case.
To be fair, though, a lot of tournaments do like point aggregate as a way of deciding those situations in there, especially in group stages and tournaments and what have you. It's very common, so I'm not surprised if they want to go with that route again. But we actually saw the Zealot just for a few frames there with the SCV scout. I wonder if he actually was paying attention.
I doubt it. That was very just a point, 0.1 second, of time that he was able to see that. Zealot comes in now. Very quick reaction from Light to pull that back at least, and so he's going to be able to bring these SCVs down, start to block the Zealot out. I think he scouted with the SCV, but the probe was hidden. He was hiding the probe in the back behind the mineral patches, and so hasn't identified where best is just yet. Ooh, Zealot's going to get on top of the Marines. He's not microing here. Going to pull back now and deals with the Zealot, but takes quite a bit of damage on these Marines. We'll have to build a bunker here initially to make sure that he's still safe.
Yeah, they're basically one shot from the Dragoon, so you kind of have to make the bunker in this situation. It would be, I mean, I guess you couldn't, because you don't have to necessarily, like, you don't have to do anything in life besides like breathing pretty much. But I mean, he probably should make a bunker. I guess it is cross map, so he might try and get away with not making the bunker, at least for a little bit of time. Maybe he's hoping that there's some greed out of best and that he won't follow this up, but he probably should make the bunker.
Well, I'm gonna decide not to breathe, Shun. I'm gonna get intubated. We'll make that decision instead, just because I can.
You get someone else to breathe for you. Get a machine to breathe for you.
Right, exactly. Get an iron lung or something like that. We'll prove Shun wrong. Just to prove you wrong.
I mean, you're still breathing though, right? Technically.
Well, some pretty big bank of gas was saved up here from Best as he was getting into this build here. I wonder if he's gonna try to get a very quick Reaver out, or what are we gonna see here after the fact? 2 gateway expansion with, I think, just Observer. I believe he's just gonna follow this up like he did versus Sharp. Maybe just a bit of a bank of gas by accident there as he was trying to micro that Zealot. But he's got a pretty good position here. It's going to be very hard for Light to get in and really get anything done. Just setting up mines out in front, though. Some good value here out of these first Vultures as they get that vision set up and the pressure on Best side of the map.
This is a very mid-range style that we see from a lot of Protoss players. It's just kind of good against everything. Like, there's only a few things that have a chance at shutting this down, but it relies on bad micro or bad positioning from the Protoss player. I mean, this dropship play from Light is one of them, because it's possible that just as the Protoss player is starting to move out to clear mines for that third base, timing is around about the time the dropship is on its way and coming in. So if there's not the 2 Dragoons in the natural, 2 Dragoons in the main type deal, you're in trouble. But I mean, this is Light we're talking about. Everyone in the world knows that Light loves to go for vulture drops in this matchup. I mean, once upon a time, everyone in his pro gaming house, the Protoss players that is, would always have their Dragoons in the main base and natural around this time because of how much practice games they played against Light in the internal setting. And whenever Light played against Protoss players outside of the pro gaming house back in the Pro League days, they wouldn't have the Dragoons set up and would just get absolutely obliterated. But Best has been around long enough to know that Light likes to go for this, so I imagine he will have some kind of preparation to deal with that.
So close there. I love what Light is doing. He forces the additional Dragoons down into the third base. He wanted to move out with just 1 Dragoon and get the base set up, but he's not able to do that because vultures keep snaking in and getting those kills. Oh, but the fly out, he's actually going to lose the dropship. Huge moment there for Best. He loses some pro, but he gets rid of the drop, and he clears up that drop with some relative ease, actually getting rid of it quite quickly. So this is a pretty decent hold from Best, but I did really like the move of sniping that probe over and over again to force Best into a bit more of a reaction to allow the drop to get off.
And there's nothing suspicious about that from Light. That's what a lot of good Terran players would try and do. So it doesn't look like a bait. It looks like just a guy that's really on top of his timings and trying to punish a Protoss player. And you're absolutely right. That was a great 1-2 maneuver from Light. Unfortunately, the Best was just handling business. So he did lose a couple of probes, but not the amount that Light was hoping for. And he did kill that dropship on the exit as well to boot. Now he can take a 4th base and won't have to keep some of his Dragoons pinned down anymore, since there's no threat of a follow-up drop from Light unless he makes a 2nd dropship, which would be suboptimal to keep wasting gas on those dropship plays when you need to be making tanks and factories right now.
Like going to take a bit of a risky third base right now on location here at the 3rd. Best is moving into position to start taking out these mines and pushing the issue. Is he going to have a shuttle to potentially bust this area down? It seems like it's just pure Dragoon mine in the midst of that. That is such a big mine, dude. I think that actually prevents Best from breaking this. If he hadn't taken that mine hit, if he'd had the observer just a slight bit lower, I think Best would have tried to dive on that attack. But with the mine connection there, he decides against it. Just going to back off and play it a little bit safe here as he takes this 4th.
Yeah, it softened up those Dragoons just a little bit too much to make him hesitant to want to go in for a trade. I think you're right. I think he could have potentially came in there and busted at least the majority of those tanks set up the way they were. Instead, it's going to be relegated to just transferring some probes to the 4th base. I mean, this is still a great position for Best to sit back and macro here. But likewise for Light, this is not bad either. Like, we could see a really powerful back and forth tug-of-war TVP between these 2 contenders now, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, Sean. Vulture run by here into the 3rd, or excuse me, the 4th. Pro pull, very effective at dealing with these vultures. He does end up losing about 4 or 5, but in the end, will be able to maintain the majority of that economy. Rolling along now, Light going to go up to about 7 factories and potentially look for a 4th base up at that 12 o'clock. It's a very solid location, and it does cover a bit of the main as well, so you can start to set up for those kind of inevitable drops from Best, where he tries to get in and annihilate the SCV line in the main.
Well, there was a lot of thinking a long time ago where, oh, maybe we can be greedy and take our 4th base with just 5 factories. it's not the case. You need at least 6, ideally 7, to take your 4th base as Terran in this modern era where Protoss players are just so much better at engaging than they used to be, and their macro and timings are just all the more sharper. So it is the fact that we will be seeing the 7 factory play here from Light on 3 bases into a 4th base. That's the most traditional modern way of approaching this matchup. It's the strongest way of avoiding disaster, and it makes total sense.
He's got the double reaver here, a couple of extra shuttles, and shuttle speed is ready. So Best maybe looking towards a bust. He's that guy who looks at a completely entrenched here in position and says, maybe. I'm just gonna go for it. Let's see if he takes some mine hits here and is forced back once again. Oh, he keeps the observer alive there. That's actually kind of important. Can utilize that to clear out some more mines here and open up the way for an attack into this position. Light just gonna keep setting up and preparing. He will be able to get into a very quick +2 with the build that he did. He has the starport to get that science facility online really nice and quick. And you know, this is a strong position for Light in terms of the speed of this 3rd and the quickness of this +2. Like, he's got everything going for him here. Let's see if Best can crack him open.
Yeah, the observers are as precious as where the Terran is scanning, saying, I mean, at the end of the day, Starcraft does come down, especially this matchup in particular, to the information game. And in a situation where information is so important, the lack of it can be fatal. And we see that time and time again, where the Terran players aren't actively scanning for the positioning of the Protoss army to keep reshuffling around their defensive forces, identifying the expansion path of the Protoss player, and the tech transitions as well. Like a carrier switch can be devastating if you don't identify that with a scan. A lot of active Vulture raiding parties here from Light, trying to see if he can get something done. Doesn't look like he's going to get too many probes. Seems like Best is on top of things enough to prevent critical damage. Would be nice if he could somehow kill one of these High Templars or 2, but not going to be able to achieve that. And he needs to be careful. Like, he can't afford to keep throwing away Vultures in that fashion. He will run the risk of Best bowling him over if he hasn't got enough of these Vultures on the ground to screen and body block these Zealots when they come in for a charge.
Yeah, I mean, that last attack was okay, but if he throws away this group of Vultures here on the left-hand side and doesn't really get much out of it, even if he kills a lot of probes, there's a chance that Best still just bowls him over completely. He's coming forward here, eating some mine connections there on a few of these Zealots. That's a little bit painful. He definitely needs the health on those Zealots to be able to run through this tank line, eating some more damage here from these mines. Here comes the Vultures to engage on one of these bases, and yeah, I'm a bit afraid for Light if he loses all these Vultures now and Best is ready to dive. He's at a full max out, but I guess Light is pretty close to that max out as well. He's done a great job of macroing through all this.
Yeah, and he's being very careful with how he's utilizing the Vultures. You can see him microing them back a lot against the predominantly Zealot forces that are in production. He's looking for some critical damage on some High Templars or something. Not necessarily looking for probe kills here. He's looking to pick apart as many Zealots as possible and maybe a High Templar or 2 with these Vultures. He will be drying up in them now, but he kept them alive long enough that he could recycle out more, so it's not too big a deal that he lost them at that timing. Seems like he has now got enough forces to try and snake over here to that 4th base at long last here. Best does have some Reavers and Storms and what have you to try and slow this down, but there should be enough forces for Light to successfully take this 4th base, but Best is saying no. Best is still wanting to challenge this. This is very ballsy from Best. This can be suicidal to attack into this position, but he's going to attempt it anyway. Storms from the low ground onto those clumps of tanks, and with the tanks clumped up slightly, did open up the position a little bit for an attack, but it seems like Best thinking better of it and will tactically withdraw now, and I do like that decision from Best. It wasn't a smart choice to go into attack there.
Yeah, he just wasn't quite able to get the follow-up Storm to finish off the tanks that he had bruised with that initial attack. He does have a big round of forces coming to the front here, and maybe still willing to give it another shot in a moment here once the additional zealots make their way to the front. Reaver doing a lot of good work here, killing off quite a few of these Goliaths. He's even going to get another shot on the SCVs as well. Can pull back. 17 kill Reaver. 18 kills now. Finally will be taken down, but that Reaver doing a huge amount of work. And now Best taking his bases in the top right-hand corner. He's preempting Light, because Light appears to be kind of slowly splitting the map over towards that top right. Getting up there and setting up a base over on that high ground is going to be very beneficial for Best, who can get onto that high ground, set up High Templar, and make sure that it's not an easy task for Light to try and take that. There's no Goliaths here, Shun. All the Goliaths were killed earlier by the Reavers. He can drop right on top of this with Storm and Zealots. Storm, where's the Storm? He's not storming. Oh my gosh, he waited a long time to cast those storms, and so a lot of those High Templar go down. He's going to be diving on top of the back line now, getting on top and forcing this CC to go ahead and live. Still has some more storms here in the back, but the bulk of Light's army is now coming down and should be able to push everything away. It's just Best able to stop this from mining for a little bit is very impactful.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing about you with the way that the map is being cut up right now by Best to preempt Light from doing that horizontal split. He has killed a lot of tanks. He's going for round 2 right now. It's a shame he didn't pull the trigger on those previous storms, but it seems like Best still in a phenomenal position, just shaving off as many tanks as he can. As long as he doesn't lose this base in the top right and just keep shaving tanks off of the battle force of Light, Best is in a great position, but there is a chance that he doesn't kill enough tanks and Light can push across over to this right hand side of the map, and that would completely open up the northern hemisphere for Light to expand at his leisure, as well as shutting down the bases of Best simultaneously. And he's getting some great 2-for-1 value right now, pushing over to the right hand side and killing some High Templars for free. Best in a little bit of trouble now. Pretty good splitting of these tanks. Finally a Zealot bomb coming out on top of that line. There's not quite enough vultures to make this an easy trade, so he is actually going to be losing a lot of these tanks. It's hard to really decide who's in a great position right now. Best, as long as he can stop Light from taking another base and pushing to this right hand side, he's in a great spot, but Light might barely be able to do it. It's hard to say. It looks like Best is traded just barely enough to stop that from happening. We'll have to see.
70 supply advantage, and there's not that great of upgrades here for Light. I believe he's probably just finished his +2, but he delayed that by quite a bit. And let's see, yeah, 2-2 is now done. So there's still some good trade potential here for Best. And I mean, there's not a lot of vultures here. The storms are going to come down on a lot of these tanks. Oh my goodness, does he get one more? Ooh, there was an opportunity there to get some really big storms on the back line. Looks like he still might get one. No, doesn't have the energy to do so, but he kills the CC. Huge kill on that CC is going to slow down Light by a lot. Best still macroing out of control and getting more bases in the top right.
Yeah, Light just lost one of his win conditions with that CC falling the way it has. This is going to become harder and harder for the Terran player to mount a comeback. The longer this drags on, the worse it's going to be. Best now taking the main base in the top right quadrant as well. Light is desperate to get up onto this high ground and shut Best out from this position, but with some vulture raiding parties coming in to kill some of these probes, it's a nice idea here from Light, but it's not going to be doing the critical damage that is necessary to come back in this game. At the end of the day, Best is trading better on the ground. Light has to sit back and macro for a minute or two here while rebuilding a CC before he has enough forces that will be capable of seizing this high ground away from Best, and that's just enough time for Best to also remax, get this base established in the top right quadrant, start producing some High Templars up there maybe, and it'd be harder and harder for Light to do anything now.
Light's tired of this shuttle play, man. Look at all of the Goliaths here. He's going to drop Zealots on top of all of this. Does he have some storms here as well? It doesn't look like it, but just pure Zealot diving onto the back line. Not enough vultures. In fact, just a few vultures here to actually clear these out, and so Best will be able to push up towards the north once again, getting in range of this building CC, may be able to force the cancel. This would be a huge kill for him, just getting rid of that one base. Gonna slow down the future expansion attempts of Light by a lot, and yes, he does force the cancel there. So frustrating to deal with at this point. He's already lost a floating CC, and now he's lost another, and he's starting to dry out.
Yeah, this is rough. The Best has isolated his win condition and is doubling down on it over and over again, whereas Light, he's losing win conditions and he's trying to establish what he was originally setting out to do, but his doubling down is not paying off. He's tunnel visioned in on accomplishing this goal, and to be fair to him, he kind of does have to do this, and he's not been successful. Like, Best has just outmaneuvered him every step of the way here, and I mean, Light is being a little bit smart with setting up all the mines in the center of the board and trying to open up routes of counter-attack and what have you to distract Best, but Best has cleared out those mines. There is a tiny window for Light now to get up on top of this high ground position and try to establish this base at long last, as well as setting up an outpost of attack to these bases in the top right that Best has already got. But it looks like Best in position to collapse onto this Terran position, and most of those tanks are already on the low ground as well, so it's going to be even easier forward. D-Matrix on top of that tank, but it's not going to be good enough. Look at the blankets of storms now coming out from Best. Light's in trouble. He's going to have to tap out of this game in a few moments, Sam, because there is no way he's ever breaking Best at this rate. And he's going to lose another CC that just finished up, as well as at 12 o'clock. He taps out. GG is called, and it's going to be Best against JYJ. That's coming up next.
Best goes forward against the last Terran player alive. JYJ here on Screaming Sea, and a probe is already out on the map shown. It's gonna be some sort of cheese here, likely a gateway. Could be a double gateway. Okay, no.
Oh.
I mean,
no, it is.
Really?
It actually is going to be a gateway. I thought he was going for a gas deal, but he actually is going to be doing a... Is he going to... Yeah, no, he might be doing a 9-9 gate. No, he might be doing a 9-9 gate. Yeah, this is looking like a 9-9 gate, saying you were right initially.
Well, this is going to be either a very quick Protoss victory or a very quick Terran victory. He's able to scout this out, figure out that this is coming. Could pull the boys and get some Marines over there to just bunker rush this, but if Best is able to get some early damage rolling, it's going to be really hard for JYJ to stabilize. Wants to avoid the difficulty of this map. I was really looking forward to seeing a PvT on this map, though. You know, going late would be a lot of fun to see, but unfortunately, we're just not going to see that, I don't think. Oh my god, he's going CC first.
It's because the rush distances. He thinks he's safe. I was confused by the early probe. I thought that you had to send the probe that early out to gas steal because of how long the rush distances are. He actually didn't. Like, the rush distances are bad, but he didn't have to send out the probe that early for a gas steal still. So... And it isn't a double gate, though, to be fair. This is a single gateway worth of pressure. So, I mean, I've seen Flash defend 14cc versus one gateway of pressure. It's so hard to do, but it technically is possible, especially if there's some blunders from Best Micro. But I don't think so. I think this is going to do a lot of damage to JYJ.
Yeah, and he's even going to drop a pylon here, make it even harder. Oh, he catches the first SCV. That's not a good sign here. Gonna get rid of this SCV on the bunker too. Cancel on the CC. JYJ is frustrated right now. He's been completely outdone just by the build order from Best. This is gonna be so punishing. Pulling all the SCVs that he can to try and deal with this. The surround on the Zealots is fortuitous, but yeah, it's gonna take so much work and so many SCV deaths to make that happen. And now there's a shield battery coming up here as well. Probably should start maybe a bunker, honestly. But do you just tap out here? JY just lost way too many workers. Yeah, there's the bunker.
Yeah, I mean, this is rough. He's got the shield battery as well to charge up that zealot that's been lowered down. He's going to do that now. Really exceptionally well executed. Gateway first, proxy by best. And he's not even technically all in with this. He can make a Nexus himself. He can macro up behind this as well. Like, he's done the prerequisite amount of damage that this isn't even needed to be that much more successful. He's already set out what he wanted to do. And unfortunately for JYJ, we will not be seeing a long game from him. Best should be able to close this out. JYJ doesn't even have a factory on the way. There's the GG and a Protoss win on the board. And Best smashing through these gamers with style to close things out, Sam.
Here we are with the point rankings, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the KCM. It's looking like Protoss versus Terran for that semifinal run, but a lot of great games today, Sean. Really spectacular games from so many of these players, and I'm still very happy with the way this season has gone, despite Zerg kind of dominating so far.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't necessarily see the greatest of games out of Hero per se, but that's okay. He's been a bit of a slump recently, but we saw great games from Effort and Soma, despite them losing, which was what I found interesting. I thought that they were either gonna win or not perform, and they did neither. They lost, but also performed, which is quite rare. So I was really happy to see that from both of those guys, and it wasn't a Zerg victories as well, so there's a bit of an upset in that regard. We were talking a little bit off air just a moment ago about we don't necessarily think that there's a chance of even if Zerg lose these 2 remaining weeks, of there being a decider of the points going in favor of Protoss, just purely because there was those all kills from the likes of Jadong and what have you in those previous weeks. They're a little bit too dominant of performances from Zergs in those earlier weeks. I don't know if it's possible if, say, like Best does like a double all kill twice in a row or something, if there's a tiny chance that maybe it's still possible. I don't necessarily think so, but yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna see, I think, Zerg progress to that finals, but regardless, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to be casting ASL with you here coming up in this week, Shun.
Oh yeah,
definitely tune into that, guys. It's gonna be on Soup Live. Link in the description to watch that live. We're the only live cast in English during the event, with the clean stream. So definitely go and check that out. It's a huge honor to be able to cast that and bring you guys those amazing games. Still waiting on that translation. I just checked, and it's still not up here. Maybe up by the time this video goes out, but it's been a little while. It's taken them a long time here to get that group translated. It should be a lot of interesting back and forth and banter I'm expecting from that group selection stage.
Right. Yeah, especially them calling Sulky like an entitled child or something. The way he's been able to hold down his back-to-back championships by dictating who comes in and out of his groups has been a big boon to him. Let's see if he can yet again avoid any kind of Zergs and what have you. Being able to get that seed and controlling your groups is such an advantage, and you see that a lot in ASL where players, they don't necessarily perform well for a long time, but once they break through to that semifinals and then get a seed and then have some control over their future runs, they avoid that best of 1 format in the round of 24, and they get to have a little bit of a say about how their group stages go in the round of 16. It can lead to continued good performances from them.
Yeah, it's such a massive advantage to be able to control your group just a little bit, kind of set yourself up, even in a small way. It makes a huge difference. And if you're a winner, of course, if you win a season of ASL, you get to swap 2 players. It just allows for a higher chance of domination for each player, and it's an interesting format. I really do enjoy it, Shun. Even the round of 24, where it's just best of 1s, it's pretty darn exciting to see people put everything on the line for just that one game, and it does lead to some upsets, although not as many upsets this season as some previous shown. Like, this season has been relatively straightforward in terms of that round of 24, and that's going to lead us to a extremely hot and closely contested round of 16. So I'm really interested in how those groups are going to pan out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we pretty much called everything besides the final group, which was a little bit chaotic. I won't say anything just in case there's a small chance one or two of you guys haven't yet watched all of the group stages in ASL. But yeah, Group F, definitely a bit of a crazy one. I'm sure most of you guys listening know what I'm talking about. Definitely some unexpected, crazy shenanigans on all sides there. Besides that, though, we pretty much called which two players would be advancing correctly every step of the way until we got to that final group, which was absolute pandemonium, kind of crazy.
Yeah, and the fact that we called most of the groups means that the next the round of 16 becomes almost impossible to call, right? Because we picked all the strongest players and they all made it through. So now, now how do we call the next group? Well, it's gonna be tough, guys, but I'm looking forward to making those predictions and seeing the results as we get through the round of 16. Anyways, guys, that's enough chatter from us for today. I'm gonna go take a rest, give my voice a bit of a break here, and get prepped for that long ASL group. I mean, round of 16 is just crazy, Shun, with all the best of threes. Yeah. There's so many games to cast, and so I'm going to be taking it easy here over the weekend. You should as well, and you guys out there, enjoy your weekend and get ready for an insane ASL week coming up.
Thanks, guys.